Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another Liverpool show, ladies and gentlemen. We usually do these a bit later, but I have to do it a bit earlier today because obviously you guys know in the last 10 days we pray at night and stuff. So big up to all of you guys. Make sure you guys are liking the video. Make sure you guys are subscribing on your way in. Every single one of you guys right here, right now, please do hit the like button. Please do subscribe. I'm sorry, I'm just laughing about what happened in the earlier on stream. So yeah, like and subscribe, Habibis. We are here. Plenty of topics to discuss today. We're going to talk about Luis Diaz to Arsenal, according to transfer rumors, not me. Konate and Gravenberch's injuries. Van Dijk and Salah to stay. 1 week they're leaving, 1 week they're going. I don't even know what's going on. So we're asking the question, what is going on? We have two people on the panel. I'm going to ask their opinions on Salah. You know, recent 2 games. I saw a Ballon d'Or tweet by one guy and the other guy twerking for him in the replies. So let's go. You get me. Joining us first and foremost, the grit of New York all the way in LA. Absolutely love this guy. You get me. Iconic mustache. Man like Mike is in the building. Hi, Mike.
Big up. Big up. What's good, everybody?
Why were you waiting for the punchline for me to diss you? Like it's just...
You know, I've got a couple calculators laid out. Still trying to do some math here to figure out how many points we need, X, Y, Z. Geometry stuff. Don't worry about it. It's upper level calculus. It's beyond your pay grade. It's all good. But big up, everybody. And yeah, you know, let's just get talking about transfers.
Next up, you get me, English version of myself. Apparently, he's nice now. I don't buy it. I know he's going to say something that gets us cancelled. Hi, Jamie.
Evening, gentlemen. Everyone all right?
You're so full of shit, I swear to God. Yeah. I don't
Evening.
believe you at all. I'm going to give this 20 minutes until Kmack says something crazy because
it's a lovely Friday evening. Big up, everyone.
Callum couldn't break you, but I can get you to break character. I promise you. I'm not Callum. I promise you I can get you to break character. You get me? Another guy that could get him to break character, just don't mention fatigue in front of Jamie. Man like Kmack is in the building. Hi, Kmack.
How are we doing, guys? We good?
Big up. Big up to you, Kmack. Is the dog in the background or is it asleep this time?
It's asleep.
Okay, good. Big up the dog. That's why cats are clear. Next up, you get me? Absolutely love working with this guy. Jerry James is back again. You get me? I want to ask his opinion, you know, on all the stuff he's been tweeting about, you know, and of course transfer rumors of his favorite player joining Arsenal. Hello, Jerry. How you doing, mate?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Good. Happy to be on. Happy that it's earlier. Ramadan Mubarak and all of that. So yeah,
Thank
man.
you. Thank you, my brother. Thank you.
Looking forward to getting into it.
Appreciate you. And last but not least, as I was doing the description, I'm putting everyone's channels, and I'm like, football with ends, football with ends, football with ends. I'm like, where the hell is his channel gone? Has he deleted it? And then I go on YouTube and I check, and it's now Game Day Media. Let's go. You get me? Oh, Game Day Media, you know? Oh, rename, you know, it's the rebranding of Endz, you know, even though you know, he's a massive fraud. I absolutely love working with him, and he's been bottling the shows lately. I swear it's not me, but of course he's no longer bottling it because Salah had 2 bad games, so he has to be here. Man like Endz is in the building. Hi, Endz.
Nah, I don't like that intro, bro. What do you mean I'm here because Salah had 2 bad games? Now I'm here when he has good games as well, and I'm here when he has bad games. I'm here whenever, bro. But I appreciate it. Nah, man, not rebranding. I just want to do a bit more stuff than just Liverpool. So, you know what I mean? Gotta change the name.
Like non-football stuff, you mean?
Yeah, non-football stuff, man. You know, my knowledge is too vast
Jerry
to keep it just
on a short about like housework. That was quite interesting to see.
Listen, my knowledge is too vast to just keep it football in it, so we're gonna up it a bit more, man.
Whoa. So humble Endz as per usual. Very
no, my bad. That sounded rude. It wasn't meant to be.
My knowledge is too vast. Fucking hell, what have you done? What have you done in your life? Like, have you conquered like 5 continents or something? What's going on? As in, my knowledge is too vast to just talk
different.
about.
He's different.
No, but big up to everyone though, man. Jamie, obviously, everyone on the chat. Kmack, obviously, JJ. And the man himself, Mike, in the building, and Husam. Big up, man. Big up to everyone, man.
Big up, big up, big up, big up. Guys, before we get started, the Jerry James Show, Liverpool Chats, Kmack channel, Game Day, new name, and Mike Das LFC, all are in the description. Please do give them all a subscribe. Every single one of you guys, if you're watching this on the replay or watching this right now, all you have to do is just open up the description. They're all tagged. Just click on their name, go and hit subscribe, and it won't even take you away from the show. So you can keep enjoying this stream. Anyway, like the video, subscribe. Mods, let's keep pushing. And let's start this off by first, for a bit at least, talking about the football side of things before we get to the transfer activity. So since we last spoke with couple of you guys, with Mike, with Jerry, with Endz as well, we lost to PSG and we've lost to Newcastle. These last two games, what do you guys make of, like, let's say this? I'm gonna start off with Jerry on this one. Tell me just your thoughts on like these last two games, if you would like, and do you think it affects the form on the pitch strictly of us, like for the rest of the season? Do you think we have a because people are saying like this could be the start of, God forbid, like some madness. So what do you think?
I feel like everything was great up until, you know, I think momentum wise anyway was great up until the PSG, the second leg, because of the manner of the defeat. I think, you know, in the past, Liverpool have lost the game. If you go back to I don't know, Forest, which is the last like time I remember Liverpool winning, losing a major game, ignoring Plymouth. Liverpool, of course, were the better team on the day from a footballing standpoint, but they just couldn't score. So, you know, we didn't come off the pitch thinking, oh, we're second best. I think for the first time, you know, in this season, we came out of both legs and no one really has got an answer or can't really put an argument forward to say Liverpool should have won that game. Yeah, you could argue in certain moments Liverpool could have had a bit more luck and a goal could have went in. But just from the footballing side of things, Liverpool just got played off the park. Our best players got nullified. Our best players had poor form. They couldn't compete on the technical level at certain times. And that's, I don't know, I think it kind of just, it brought about a like, solemn mood around Liverpool, where you're looking at things and you're going into the Newcastle game now and you're not as upbeat. And, you know, a lot of us, including me, probably went into that game knowing it was going to be difficult, but expected Liverpool to come out trumps because you've got Salah, because you've got Van Dijk, because you've got Alisson. Trent's there, obviously, before the injury. But you're looking at it and you're like, let Liverpool be able to, you know, do something. And then again, back-to-back games where the better team won. And ultimately, yeah, that's what it is. The better team won. Liverpool weren't great. But, you know, you can be shit, but still say, oh, look, Liverpool are just shit. I think Liverpool tried their hardest. And I think that's the thing about it. They tried to do what they wanted to do, what they've been doing all season, but it didn't come off. And I think it was back-to-back games where I looked at it and said, yeah, Liverpool were just second
Can
best.
I ask you a question before everyone else chimes in? Do you think the last two games we got out-coached by the opposition manager?
To a certain extent, yeah. I think the PSG game, not so much. I think it was more to do with one team was just technically better. Technically better because Liverpool, I think in the second leg, were much better than they were in the first leg. And you could argue in the first leg, Arne Slot out-coached Enrique because for all the possession and everything, Liverpool ended up winning the game. And look, we didn't lose against PSG in like obviously regular time. Obviously, we had to go to penalties. But in the Newcastle game, 100%. I just think tactically, they done us on set pieces. I think they gave us the ball. I think they countered really well. I think they went and stopped certain players playing. And I think, yeah, we got tactically, done. But for me personally, and obviously we'll discuss it because I know you're going to allude to it, I think a certain individual should have shown a bit more personality, irrespective of whether it would have worked or not, irrespective of whether, he's playing with crap players or not, because we've seen it. And I think the best players have seen it. And I think he has the ability to go and do more. But obviously we can chop that out.
Yeah, for me personally as well, man, I think, yeah, I agree with what Jerry's saying as well. And I hope that the main guys kind of stood up and kind of showed what they're about. But the good thing is we don't have to play a PSG every week, because if we have to play them, we would struggle. Like most of these teams, let's be honest, man, they're not as good as PSG. Obviously, we then went on to lose to Newcastle, but that was more heart desire, a bit more hunger from them guys more than anything else, and it's not disrespect to Newcastle fans, so I'm not trying to disrespect your team, but you guys just wanted it a bit more. You saw when we played you at Anfield and we beat you 2-0, we wanted it a bit more on the day because we knew how much them points mattered. And that was the difference. But we don't have to play a PSG every week. I'm just happy about that, because if we have to play teams like that every week, you start to see the flaws in certain players and in our tactics as well. We've seen it from the turn of January, but because the teams ain't been that good, we've kind of just got through these games and just walked some of them, and we had the players like Salah standing up and winning these games. But then when you realize, when you come against teams that can match you, man for man, tactics for tactics, quality for quality, you then realize, okay, we have some deficiencies in this team. And some players that we look at and go, you're good, but how comes you're not standing up and being accounted for? So, look, it's been a tough week. It was a tough week for Liverpool fans. The optimism went. Now we only have one thing to play for, and I'm sure we'll kind of get into that conversation. But yeah, it's just one of those ones, innit? I'd rather have had a bad weekend and win the cup, and you're like, okay, weren't great, but at least we got something to show for it. But we don't have nothing to show for it. You have to lick our wounds now, wait for the international break. We've got a few topics that you want to chop up as well, so we'll get into that. But now we've got to lick our wounds and hope we come back and ready for that first game, and that's Everton, and that's going to be a tough one as well.
But
Can I just mention something on that? Can I just mention something on that? Because a lot of people aren't talking about it. Do you remember Slot said we've got 3 cup finals? And he said the cup final was PSG. It was PSG at home. It was Southampton, and then it was Newcastle. He's absolutely right. They were 3 cup finals. And for me, we won the one that really, really mattered. And it was the Southampton game. Because last season, if you think about last season, we lost to Atalanta, we lost to Crystal Palace, we lost to Everton, and we were out of the cup and we were out of the league. If we'd have lost to Southampton, then the chatter would have started. And that would have gone into the Newcastle game. And that would have continued into the Everton game. And that would have been 3 defeats in a row. And that's when Liverpool, you may well have seen the old Liverpool kick in and the PTSD. So for me, we really won the game that really mattered for us. Well, for me, definitely, which is the league. The league, it's all about the league. Like, we just need to be honest. Like, we're not ready to win the Champions League. And the Tin Pot Cups are the Tin Pot Cups. Like,
okay, but that's a very
in the league, Mike.
That's a hindsight. That's a hindsight perspective. Like, that's viewing it.
It's what's really important.
Okay. I'm not arguing the importance of the Premier League, but to after the fact say that well, you know what, we won the only one that mattered. That's hindsight, right? You're doing that after. I don't think anyone here before those 3 games was sitting here saying that Southampton is the most important game of those 3. Therefore, but again, we're just arguing semantics. Just from what I've seen, I'm shocked at how much the fan base is going in on individual players and how Arne Slot has been getting away scot-free. Because to be honest with you, what I have seen is he's been found out, right? When we look at the first game against PSG, the second I saw that starting 11, I texted Husam. I immediately texted him. I said, we are in trouble, right? And then the second I saw the same exact lineup for the home game, I texted him again. I said, we're screwed. And he said, we're going to win 4-1. I'm coming for the apology. Unfortunately, no apology was received. But regardless, when you look at that first PSG game, we had the blueprint. Man City away is essentially the same exact weapons, just of higher quality against PSG.
Aston Villa as well, Mike.
What did we do? We played Diogo Jota, who sat there and he pressed with his feet connected to the ground. I could go back and I could pull clips of certain moments when the ball is 3 feet in front of him and he's just standing there with his arms out, staring at the guy. Like, hey, do something, bro. Like, it completely useless. But we got the win, right? What do? The next time we face him, Arne Slot says, you know what? I'm just going to do the exact same thing and hope we get a different result. Yes, we created more opportunities, but that's Anfield. We're going to do it. And the majority of those came within the first 15 minutes. And then after that, what did we have? The one set piece. Listen, set piece chance is a set piece chance, but that's different than open play. Anyone, Southampton away, could score on a free kick against us, right? Plymouth Argyle could score on a corner against us. Regardless, to me, the deficiencies that I saw earlier in the season against certain teams, PSG saw that and they attacked. I watched an excellent breakdown on what Ousmane Dembele did at Anfield. The way that he pressed off the ball, the way that he forced us into certain positions, the way that he made us pass back, right? And why does he do that? Because he knows that Szoboszlai is too far up the field and McAllister and Gravenberch pretty much have to bypass him themselves. Yes, they're technically better, but, you know, if you do the same thing twice and expect a different result, I call that insanity. And then we did the same thing against Newcastle. And yes, we did get out. We got out energized. We got outran. But it still doesn't make up for the fact that you're doing the same thing tactically. Diogo Jota provided nothing. And tell me why. Why is it that Federico Chiesa plays for 15 minutes and puts in the best finish out of any 9 that we've seen in the last six to 8 weeks? Cool, calm, composed, right into the corner. I just, to me, I hope that I'm just being dramatic, and I hope that I'm overanalyzing, and I hope that this isn't a crack. But this is 3 straight games of the same thing over and over with no different result. And I've seen these problems earlier in the season, and I mean, Everton's going to be the ultimate test for me. If Everton come out and they press us to death and we have difficulties against them, even if we get the win, I'm still going to sit here and I'm going to say, okay, there's something tactically wrong. He needs to figure that out, whether that's new players in the summer, whatever it has to be. I don't think we're going to bottle the league, but you know, this repetitiveness that I've seen over the last 3 weeks, it's not something that I like. I would have liked to have seen him change things, not just throw the same dart at the same angle and just hope that it hits the bullseye.
Can I ask you a question? Can I ask you a question on that?
Yeah.
How highly do you rate the spine of Liverpool's team? So when I'm talking about the spine, I mean Alisson, Virgil, McAllister, I'll put him in there, and Salah. Really, how highly do you rate that spine?
It depends.
As individual players, as a collective, like if. Yeah,
I mean, to me, I think that spine has the ability, and we've seen that spine to have the ability to control games. To me, like, I know I harp on this all the time. It's basically when we get too spaced out and when Szoboszlai is too far up the pitch and all of a sudden McAllister and Gravenberch are basically in this 4-2-4. I know that this is like the stupid FIFA thing that no one wants to talk about, but when we're in that sort of build-up phase, there's too much space. And in those situations, I think that we get hurt. And I think that leaves space for them to press us. And I think that teams have caught on to that. But I
think because I agree to that point. I want to kind of make it clear. I kind of said that when Husam asked, I think we'd have been in certain games outcoached. I think particularly in I think it's not necessarily PSG games, but especially the Newcastle game. I fully understand, and I think teams have started to figure out what certain things are happening in regards to Liverpool. Reason why I asked about the spine though is when I think of a spine that is solid, right? They are a spine that can think on their feet, that can think on the spot, that will go, and the best players in the world are players that take risks, they make changes, they can adapt. In the Newcastle game, from a defensive standpoint, with the set pieces, I've heard Sam talk about it. 3 times, Dan Burn gets a free jump on McAllister. Not once there's any other player on the pitch. Now, it doesn't matter what Slot says, what the coaching team says. There has to be some ownership about, that's looking a bit risky. You know what? I'm going to make a run in behind. I go and look at Salah as an example, when I spoke about him. Not once, and yes, the ball wasn't getting to him. We were going long. Not once did I see Mohamed Salah say, you know what? F this. Gravenberch, I'm coming short. Give me the ball. I'm going to make something happen. Not once did I see that. He just stayed out high. He stayed out wide and waited for the ball to come to him. Now, when I think of, the best managers in the world, there have been plenty of times where they might have been out-coached, where the system hasn't been great, where the majority of the players have fallen short. But there will be the guy that goes and pulls them out of something. We've seen it with Messi and Barcelona. You've seen it with Steven Gerrard at Liverpool, where sometimes he'd be like, you know what? I know I'm playing as a DM for Brendan Rodgers, but we're struggling to break these guys down. I'm going to play a pass and I'm going to get on the end of it and I'm going to take a shot from outside the box.
Yeah.
I'm going to go and do something out of the ordinary. I'm going to go and try and pull this team. Now, it might not always work. It might not always work. You might get a bollocking at halftime or whatever. But for me, that's the definition of top players. So when I go and talk about the tactical side of things, yeah, it is. But ultimately, in a hypothetical situation, if Virgil van Dijk had said, I know we're doing zonal, but you know what? Jota, you stay in my position. I'm going to make sure I'm on Dan Burn. And it throws them off. And all of a sudden we win our headers. That ultimately prevents a goal, right? If Salah says, you know what? I know I'm being manhandled by Livramento and Dan Burn in the air. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to go into the centre now and make them ask a different question of me. That might have gone and changed the game.
Yeah.
No one did that on the pitch. So when I go
Can I
look
ask you
at
a question,
Slot,
Jerry?
I look at it and I hear.
Do you think Hazard? Do you think Hazard can do what you just described?
I think so.
Yeah.
Why didn't he do it this season
in that game against Newcastle?
No, because ultimately he had a poor season. So what I'm saying is I'm not
okay. I'm not going to ask
criticizing.
about an individual season. Why didn't he do it in any Champions League knockout stage game?
I think that's mad specific though. Your question is, can he do it? And I think he.
But I just made it broad. I said mad knockout. I said knockout.
Yeah, no, but you're choosing moments where you know he didn't do that. So I think
yes, but I saw him. I might have not seen him do it in the Champions League knockout stage, which is fair enough. I saw him do it in the Europa League. I saw him do it for Belgium in big games against. Do you know what I mean? I've seen him do it. I've seen Alexis Sanchez do it. We've seen Suarez do it. We've seen Gerrard do it. And this is what I'm talking about. Is the reason why it annoyed me. Yeah, it actually annoyed me that game more so than anything is. When I look at the top players, and me personally, maybe I was wrong, but I classified Salah, and I still do in that bracket, right? This is where he had to go and show, I'm going to go and do something. It might not work. And by the way, I'm not saying he's going to do that and Liverpool are going to win. But we did not once go and see him say, you know what? Give me the ball. I'm going to try and do something. I'm playing with Dom and Dom up front. I'm playing with
Jerry. He only touched the ball 32 times.
But that's not the point he's trying to make.
And a lot of that was in his own
that's not the point he's trying to make.
But that is the point.
You can't just put it all on Salah. He's got two of the forwards that have done nothing for him.
This is what happens when you're having a conversation.
But guess what? But this is what I'm saying. People aren't listening. Yes, he's playing with Dumb and Dumber. Gerrard played with Spearing. At times he played with Spearing and John Joe Shelby, right? Yeah. And in the biggest games, in the biggest moments, right? When Liverpool are rubbish, and let's be honest, Liverpool are crap when Gerrard was playing them at the Pomp. Garbage, right? In comparison to what we've got right now, right? He would go and say, you know what? I'm taking the game by the scruff of the neck. Suarez, when he was playing with Andy Carroll, Downing and an old Bellamy on the wing, would say, you know what, give me the ball, I'm going to create something. It might not always work, it might bundle through, it might not look scrappy, but he tries to drag the team across the pitch. I think Salah is good enough and has proven it across the season for me to, in those moments, show why he is Salah. Because it's all well and good. We talk about Harry Kane, we talk about players that have scored plenty of goals. But the differentiator is when it matters, it counts. Now, in the Premier League, we've seen him. He's done it we've seen him do it against City. I've seen him go and do it, do you know what I mean, against Watford. But in that moment, I think if you're going to keep it, if you look at a player and you put him on this high pedestal where you're saying, yes, he is the guy, you have to show it in that moment. Because ultimately, when we go and then start talking about the Ballon d'Ors, this is why these players win it. When you go and look historically why players have won it, it's because in the biggest moments, they come up trumps.
Do you think Henry got robbed of a Ballon d'Or?
Who did he lose to? Was it Nedved? Was it Nedved he lost to? No, I don't think so. In the league, he was fantastic. He had a good season. But if you look at Nedved, look when he scored. He scored in the semi-final. He missed the final out of injury, I believe, or suspension. But he was critical in the biggest games he went and scored. When you go and look at Rodri's never going to go and get the amount of goals that Salah gets. But what he did that season was in the biggest moments when City needed him, he's the one that scored the goal. He's the one that assisted.
Okay, let
And
me give you an honest response. Are you talking about, just so I know what to respond to, are you talking about PSG and Newcastle, or just Newcastle, or just PSG, or both?
PSG, I think PSG, no, not so much. For me, it's more so the first game where I think it was a bit iffy. I think the second game, he actually attacked Mendes and tried to do something, cut inside. He had that shot early on. For me, it's the final. The final for me is almost criminal, where you're not getting the ball. You have to come and get it. You have to do something if you're that guy.
I disagree with you completely. I actually blame him for PSG more. I actually blamed him for PSG, but defended him against Newcastle. And I'll tell you exactly now why. Look, I think Slot got outcoached in both games, in my honest opinion. I think Enrique, as a coach, just purely tactically, over 2 legs, I'll be honest with you, just completely destroyed Slot, just pure tactical perspective we're talking here, because he got everything that he wanted.
Apparently,
now, I'll tell you why PSG...
Apparently Eddie Howe worked for 3 weeks on that Newcastle game, tactically.
Yeah, let me just explain to you why I don't blame him for Newcastle, but I blame him for PSG. In the PSG game, he had 2 or 3 moments in the penalty box where he could have either played a pass or scored a goal, and he didn't. And that's something that I will always hold a player of that stature accountable for, 100%. That's why for PSG, I think PSG, I gave him blame. And I said he needs to be held accountable for that performance because he didn't perform well at all. Now, Newcastle, the reason why I don't blame him is and by the way, I didn't blame Diaz either. I didn't blame Jota either. I didn't blame Nunes. I didn't blame anyone. Jota, I did a little bit just for the chance he missed in front of goal. I think the thing that, like, the reason why we created absolutely nothing in that game is not any single individual. Not Diaz, not Nunez, not Salah, not anyone. I think we played straight into Eddie Howe's hands. I think if all of us met pre-game with Eddie Howe and was like, yo, we're going to play long balls, he'd went like, I'm Carabao Cup champion. Immediately, that's exactly like, if Newcastle could have done one thing pre-game, it's ensure we play long balls. Let's look at the mistakes we made in that game, and I'll tell you the reason why I don't blame Salah just specifically for Newcastle. Look, in that game, first of all, as you said, 3 corners in a row, I'm shouting, why is Dan Burn on McAllister? This is not any individual. This is purely coaching instructions. You can't have, even if your excuse after the game is we're playing zonal, you can't have the shortest guy on the tallest guy. At least put Szoboszlai on him. At least put Gravenberch on him. At least put someone with some form of stature on Newcastle's tallest player. He had Gerald
Konate. He was a spare man.
And the thing that pissed me off in that as well is it happened like 3 games in a row. 3 corners in a row. The first warning sign was when Dan Burn headed it, Bruno got it on the follow-up.
And Keller has saved it.
And I'm like, guys, why is Dan Burn on McAllister? And the crazy part is, before we even get to the reason why I don't blame Salah for that goal, is even after Dan Burn scored, we still did it. In the second half, we did it again from their set piece, even after Dan Burn scored. And I hate stubbornness. Like, even if you want to play zonal in corners, managers play zonal in corners, some do man-to-man. Rafa Benitez used to do mix of zonal and man-to-man like 15 years ago. Like, there's not some new tactic, but don't put the shortest guy on the tallest guy. But when it comes to that game, the reason why I don't blame Salah is the last 4 minutes of the game. The last 4 minutes of the game is a literal indicator of why we lost that game. Chiesa scores. We have all momentum. Newcastle players shitting themselves. They've bottled games like this before. For the next 4 minutes, we failed to get the ball even in their final third. Not even once.
We were arsing around at the back.
We did not get the ball to the final third once. And the only goal that we scored was actually a ball played on the ground. It was a ball played on the ground. Jerry, you were there on the show with me on the Friday before the Newcastle game when Tom Little was leaning back. When I said, let's go with a 4-man midfield. The reason why I said,
Jones,
yes, Curtis or even Endo, doesn't matter. Forget the person, the concept. You could even play Szoboszlai left wing, by the way.
Curtis had the best chance of the game.
And you could have went Szoboszlai left wing, invert him. The reason why I said do that before the game, this is not hindsight, is I knew that their tactic. We saw it at St. James's Park. They were going to press the shit out of us. Every time Gravenberch got the ball, they were going to press him. And we were going to insert what Mike Daz said after the St. James's Park game, play long balls all game. There's a reason why Dan Burn had 18 headers in that game. 18 headers. So now I must ask off slot. Like after 4 headers, did you not realize like this doesn't work? Like just 5 headers later, did you not realize like shit? This is
what
just
we did
not
against
working?
PSG in the first leg. It's identical.
I agree. I agree.
I'm gonna be completely honest. I'll go as far as saying this. I think had we had prime Neymar or prime Hazard on that right-hand side, we still would have done nothing because we didn't get the ball to the front line to begin with. That's why I don't blame
But do you know what
Diaz.
it is?
That's
No,
why
no, but
don't
I
blame
agree.
any of them.
But
Because,
I agree.
hear me out. Let me just land this. And
Yeah,
then
go on. Land. Yeah.
The reason is like, if I'm not giving someone the ball to begin with, how can I blame him? Now you're saying drop deep. He did a couple of times, but then when he dropped deep, he had Livramento follow him all the way. There was Joe Linton marking his side as well, and then he gave the ball to Kwanzaa. And this brings mine and your argument from 3 weeks ago with Mike, where we said Trent's importance is not just statistically, because if Trent gets the ball in that position, diagonal to Diaz and behind, suddenly we create a chance. But we didn't have that outlet. That's why I blamed Slot 100% for the Newcastle loss. Not as much for PSG. I blamed the approach on PSG. But Newcastle, I blamed Slot and not a single player.
No,
because
Newcastle
I completely out-tacticked and out-managed.
No. I think maybe I'm using the wrong choice of words. I wouldn't necessarily attribute blame to Salah. It's not. It's your fault why Liverpool lost. It's not his fault. But it is. I believe it's his fault that Liverpool didn't problem solve. And the reason why I say that is you're saying we could have gone and lost. Yes, we could have gone and lost. But I've seen in injured Neymar, right, against Croatia in the World Cup with his ankle all busted, where he comes deep to collect the ball. The player comes right behind him. He plays a 1-2, gets it again, gives the ball, gets the run, gets it again, and ends up scoring the goal, right? That ultimately should have made Brazil progress, but they were crap, and Croatia obviously scored again, and it was over. Salah, for me, had to go, and that was the game, right? Especially when you're talking about finals, where it was, I'm going to go and do something. I'm not going to just stand out there and wait for these guys to get the ball. I remember Henry's spoken about this, right? Where he was talking about training in the MLS and was saying that he remembers at the back, they were doing patterns of play and the defenders were passing it around the back and they couldn't get to the forward. And he was just like, what do you mean you can't get through? And he went and got the ball from the centre back, barged out loads of players, dribbled past them and slapped it into the top corner and said, that's how you do it. And I remember, and Bradley Wright Phillips was like, oh my God, like that's when we realized this is Henry. Now, of course, that's the MLS. But Salah, for me, it was more of a disappointment. It wasn't that it was his fault.
Henry doesn't score a goal in any FA Cup final.
No, not in the FA Cup final. I'm not comparing him to Henry. I'm saying
or a World Cup final or the Euros
100%. I agree, and I'm not putting the debate of Henry's better than Salah. I'm just using it as an example. For me, this is where Salah had to go and show, right, why I am the best, right, and what he did is ultimately do what an okay striker that's on form would do. Just stand out there. I'm not getting service, so. Like, as in, we've seen Salah, the passes, the assists. This is where you had to put all that together and try drag Liverpool across the line. Now, it wouldn't have meant that Liverpool win the game, no. But it would have shown me personality as to why, why you're the guy. And what we saw for multiple games now, right, where he didn't do that, where what he's comfortable doing is waiting for everyone else to do it and then him get the ball in the final third to make things happen, where he's been doing what he's been doing all season. But sometimes, and the best players in those games, you have to do a bit more. And that was my disappointment. I agree with you. Slot, for me, was the reason why Liverpool lost that game, because it doesn't matter. You could have played whoever there, right? And ultimately, if you did tactics wrong, the tactics wrong. As a coach, I know that, right? But the best players, even when I'm coaching, the best players, even when it's not working, will do something mad that all of a sudden is like, that's off. We don't want to do that. That's off the script, but it got us across the line. Trent's corner. You think if Trent does the corner and it goes off the pitch, or Origi misses it and we give away the ball and Barca go on the counter, you think Jurgen Klopp's not berating Trent for what he did? But guess what? He had the personality to do that cross. And
but that's why me and you defend Trent, because he's a playmaker from right back.
100%. But I'm saying this is where Salah, and Salah had to be the risk taker in that game, because he's the only one.
He did one time in the first half when he got the ball in dangerous position and Jota missed. Like, we have to be fair about that.
100%. But he got the ball in that area. Salah is going to go and do that. But it's like the Haaland situation. Is when we compare other forwards to Haaland, if you stop the service, he's not going to do anything. And what it felt like was you stopped the service to Salah. You stopped that long ball into Salah because Burns doing it. You give it to Szoboszlai, Gravenberch, where he gets pressed, and they're not really on the ball. They're not a Pedri that's going to find Salah into his feet. Now it's like, okay, what are you going to do? So you stop the supply to Salah. Well, are you going to supply yourself? And that
who's he playing with? Jerry, who's he playing with on the right-hand side? He's got Kwanzaa, who's a centre back.
Listen, I think
no overlapping runner. He's got no underlapping.
Jerry,
this is what happens though when we have conversation about Salah.
He's got just more far left and right.
When we have conversation with Salah,
if Benitez didn't change it in halftime, would have been fine.
Just listen to what Jerry's saying, bro. Just listen.
He's literally in midfield trying to battle. Like,
we're not listening, bro. As well. We're not listening. He's not asking for Salah to go on. You know what I mean?
He is. He's asking for Salah to win the game.
He's saying
to win us the game.
When
Kmack. Hold on. Check that. Everyone in the chat and everyone on the panel. No, wait. Everyone in the chat and everyone on the panel. Did I say him doing more would have resulted in Liverpool winning the game?
He didn't have the ball in the final third. It was after defense.
Kmack, this isn't what he's saying. What he's saying is that at a certain point, Salah should have realized, okay, me standing here is not going to do anything. Let me drop deep, try to drop into Gravenberch's position. You know what?
The whole team was dropped deep, mate.
Okay,
the whole team was deep.
We were not. No, we were not.
We weren't. We had the majority of the ball, and we were.
We were so expansive. We were so expansive.
How many touches did we have in their penalty area?
Jerry, I don't even understand why you bother, bro.
How many touches did we have in the penalty area?
Having touches in the opposing penalty area does not mean that you were sitting in, right? We were everywhere. It's just that the possession, we couldn't get it to that point, right? We were literally playing U-ball because there's too much space in between McAllister, Gravenberch, and the front four, right? So all Jerry is saying is that, for example, what Salah could have realized in the 40th minute is say, you know what? I recognize that there's a little bit too much space here. Szoboszlai's not dropping. Let me just point to him, hey, cover me real quick. I'm going to drop deep, see if I could pick up the ball and make something happen. That's it. It's literally all Jerry is saying, which I don't
I'm saying he's a top quality. I'm literally saying he's a top quality player. We've seen it this season, right? This is where your best players have to do something off the cuff because it's not working. The tactics were crap. I'm getting quite annoyed now. The tactics were crap. We were going long. Virgil van Dijk was nullified. The one time he done something well was when he burst into midfield and done something different, and then he went up front because he was like, you know what? Slot didn't tell him to go up front. He just decided I'm going to go up front because we need to try win the game. That wasn't Slot saying, yeah, now's the time to go and do that. Or Virgil van Dijk, you need to play that pass. These are top quality players that have been better players than Slot has ever been. So there's certain things that Slot cannot coach these players to do. There's certain that he cannot go and teach Salah or teach a Virgil van Dijk how to spray a 60-yard ball into a sixpence. The same way he can't go and tell Salah to go and create something out of nothing. This is where your best players have to be like, you know what, I'm going to be the maverick. You have to have that about yourself if you're a top player. And when you think of any top player from the history of the game, from Maradona and Garrincha times to now, the best players we all love are players that in certain moments said, you know what, I'm going to go and do something different. I'm going to go and try and make something happen.
Galaxy brain in the second half and threw all his forwards on. And then when we did actually tire Newcastle out, we didn't have any midfielders to actually play the ball to the forwards.
But this is what happens when you have conversation with Salah, bro. Like
he's not listening. They're not listening.
No, but what happens is, Jay, I'll take the reins here, bro.
I'm not going to talk anymore.
No, but what happens is we put him on a pedestal, and all Jerry's asking for is, if we're going to respect and say he's here, why can't we expect him to go and take the game by the scruff of the neck? Jerry also caveat and said, I didn't expect him to go and win the game, or what if he did that, but I wanted to see a bit of character. I wanted to see a bit of cojones about him. Go and get the ball off them. You're not doing well. Sobo, you're not doing well. Go and play on the right-hand side. Let me come in here and do that. Because what we're doing currently and with the manager's tactics is not working at all. So why are we going to just stand there? So are we now saying with no supply, what does he do in the team then if there's no supply?
Well, the whole team's based on
no.
Mate.
But that's what
the whole team's based on structure.
If no one passes to him in the final third, what
Salah starts wandering around. Then
so hold on. So whether we have Salah, or Diblin or flipping Semenyo, it doesn't matter because Slot's in control of everything.
Yeah.
This is what I'm hearing.
He's the coach. He's the coach.
So get rid of Salah. No, Husam. When you move on, we might as well get rid of Salah.
We watched Slot this season and praised him for the way he coaches in games.
I think both of you are saying right stuff, but you're both you're both being too extreme.
Go on, James.
Jerry and Endz, the problem with your argument is the following. I think you're looking at it from way too much of a heroic approach, which I understand because we've had that. But even like 2005 Istanbul as an example, people say Gerrard had a heroic game. I agree with you, but Benitez changed at halftime when he brought on Haman, and the whole game changed because we changed the tactics. The reason why I said, if you're talking about PSG, he literally missed 2 clear-cut chances. So I said in that game he deserves to like have accountability. But in Newcastle, my issue is we just never got the ball to the final third to begin with. The reason why the penalty box touches is a fair claim from Kmack is I don't think we were in dangerous positions all game, whether it be left wing, right wing, even down the middle. We just never got into a dangerous position. And the problem is the coach just didn't change it. Like, that's the issue that I have. So 45 minutes hits, you're 1-0 down, you've created fuck all. Take out Jota, bring in a midfielder. Now you have control. Now you play the ball on the ground and you help your team create chances. That's why I blamed Slot for the final, which I know you guys are agreeing with. And you're saying like, okay, let's just talk about like Salah's performance despite we agree on Slot. I'm saying from his perspective, look, if you can't get the ball in a position to affect anything, there is nothing pretty much you can do, even if you are held at that pedestal. But there's a reason as well where I'm keeping my energy consistent. I'm not blaming Diaz either. Like people, like if Tom Little was on the stream, he'd be like, oh, I'm sick and tired of Diaz. I didn't say anything about Diaz after that game because we simply didn't get him the ball. He just didn't get the ball in any dangerous position in any way, shape or form. And I think the long ball tactic, we played straight into Newcastle's hands. We just Eddie Howe's dream scenario happened. Long ball to two short players with Dan Burn there. You're just never going to win. And those last 4 minutes epitomizes that because we just didn't play on the ground. We just did not play on the ground properly once. And I think Slot should have changed it at halftime. And that's my honest opinion on the game. And if you're saying take the game by the scruff of the neck, I understand what you're saying because you're holding him to a different standard because we say he's the best player in the world, which I get. But I'm looking at the root cause of why we were there to begin with, which is we got out-coached. Now, I don't think it's the same for PSG because in PSG, he did get into a dangerous position, but he didn't have an accurate cross and he missed the 2 clear-cut chances. The reason why I think the Slot approach in PSG was wrong is because we were 1-0 up. There's no need for you to go gung-ho so much. You just needed to chill out a little bit. But regardless...
Husam, on that point then, yeah, just to pick your brain. So when City faced Real Madrid and City bopped Real Madrid off the park, right? And Vinicius came top trumps, or when Inter Milan were better than City in the final, but Rodri came up trumps, right? You could argue that Pep and Ancelotti got out-coached in the game. Because from a football standpoint, from box to box, the team was better. The opposition team was better. But you had an individual, right, that decided to go and come up trumps. So City are known for pass, and they pass you to death. Rodri's like, you know what, I'm not doing this, I'm slapping it. And it goes into the top corner.
Yeah, but Rodri had the ball in dangerous position. That's my point. I don't think Pep got out-coached in that game.
But what, against Inter Milan?
No, I do think Inter Milan were the better side, but I don't think he got out-coached. When I say the word out-coached, I think like the manager got it 100% wrong. Like that's what I honestly believe. When I say the word out-coached, I don't say it lightly. Like I haven't said it all season long. And we've had losses this season. I haven't said, oh, Slot got out-coached today, you guys. You've all worked with me. This is the one time I've said out-coached because I just don't think we had any influence on that game whatsoever at all. Like I think we could have played another 300 minutes and we wouldn't have scored, even with all those forwards on the pitch, because we can't get them the ball. And that's the thing that Slot couldn't read from early. That's why I'm blaming him for it. So that's just my answer.
Understand that.
And even the players that you're mentioning, players who take the game by the scruff of the neck. 10 years ago, Chelsea got eliminated by PSG in the Champions League. 10 men PSG at the bridge. Hazard was playing. Only impact he had on the game was score a penalty. Thierry Henry hasn't scored a goal in a final. All these players have bad games, which we can acknowledge that he wasn't
100%.
good. I can acknowledge that Diaz wasn't good or whoever wasn't good. I don't think anyone in that game could say he had a good game, in my opinion, other than like Robertson, maybe. That's the only guy that you could say, oh, wow, like he actually had a good game. Maybe even the two center backs, you could go like, I don't know what was going on there. But like, I just think we got completely out-coached and we had no chance in that game, specifically given the fact halftime comes in, now change it. It's a final. There's no second leg. There's none of this. Like, just change it immediately. And I think he failed to change it. And I'll be completely honest with you. That's genuinely what I think.
Look, it's a week later. I don't give a shit, to be perfectly honest. It's a week later. I don't care. I literally don't care. This that coaching stuff, I hear it. I think individual talent takes over coaching at times as well. So you could be out-coached for a game and an individual talent gets you over the line. That can happen. Salah was crap for 3 weeks of the season, and he was crap at the most important time of the season, maybe you can argue. But, you know, I don't want to over-criticise all the players' performances this season because I think they put everything into this season to be as good as they can and to take the team as far as they can after a legendary manager leaving their club. I actually think these players have stood up quite tall this year. A lot of players could have gone into hiding, having a nobody manager come in as their new head coach, taking over a legendary manager. So I think all the players deserve the credit what they have done this season and how far they've taken us this season. I've always said it. Number 20 was the most important thing to me. That's just been the most important thing to me since the summer till, you know, the end of May when we hopefully lift it. But Salah, look, Salah's my favourite player, man. I can find excuses of moan, I usually do, but I can hold my hand up and say he's been dog-turd the last few weeks. And that's not a problem because for 30 weeks before that, he's probably been our best player. He's just had a bad moment. But my problem with Liverpool sometimes is when your best player's having a bad moment, I need other players to stand up and make themselves accountable. You know, if we want to
agree with that also.
If we want to say that we've got quality players all over the park, I need them to show their accountability at the same time. So, you know, I think it'll be a level playing field, but I can understand why Mo Salah's getting it more than maybe most because he has been our standout individual that we have backed as fans, calling him Ballon d'Or worthy and all this sort of stuff. So, you know, I can understand it. And what we just got to do is admit when he's crap, agree when he's excellent, and move on from there. You know, I don't think Mo's going to be shit now until the end of the season. I'm sure he's going to contribute in Premier League games going on and get 3 points when we need 3 points. But unfortunately, he had a stinker at the end of the season almost when it sort of mattered. It happened. But we're winning. We can argue as a team, as fans, that we're winning number 20 maybe because of Mo. So there's arguments and counter arguments for everything.
The thing is, Jamie, the best teams in the world right now, like the Atletico Madrid game, Real Madrid against Atletico, Mbappe had a stinker at the Bernabeu. Vinicius had a stinker in both games. Rodrigo pulled them out of trouble in the first game, and Brahim Diaz. We just don't have that right now. And like, you know, with blaming Salah, like I have no problem blaming him. That's why I blamed him for the PSG game. Exactly. But I'm not going to blame him for Newcastle, like, in my honest opinion. I think PSG, like, you got the ball in a dangerous position and you just didn't impact the game. And that's something that I have a problem with. If I get you the ball in a dangerous position and you don't impact the game, this is a problem. PSG, like, that was completely, like, he got the ball in a position where he should have scored. He didn't. He got the ball in a position where he could have crossed and he made inaccurate crosses. Okay, I blame you. No problem. I blame you, Salah, for that performance right there. And even, by the way, once again, energy consistent. I didn't blame Nunez and Curtis Jones either for missing the penalties. My video after that game is titled Stop Scapegoating Nunez because I feel like people doing too much just blaming one person. For me, against PSG, look, Slot's approach was wrong because we were 1-0 up, so we were from a position of power, so there is no need for you to go all gung-ho, and hopefully he learns from this, and this becomes an experience for him to go into next season's Champions League knockout sessions, go like, shit, we're 1-0 up, there is no need for me to go gung-ho and press the fuck out of them for no reason, and then run out of steam at the end of the game. And with the Newcastle game, this is another opportunity for him to learn because like, you can't just play into Eddie Howe's hands. Like, you've got to, like, you have to learn. Like the Newcastle game at St. James's Park, Trent changed that game for us with Salah. Trent and Salah is the reason why we left that stadium with a draw to begin with. But when you talk about the first half of Newcastle away was the whole final. It was literally the whole final. And what was Salah in the first half away at St. James's Park? Ineffective. Because the style that we played with didn't put him in any position to do anything. When he was in a position to do something, he scored twice. And boom, where we end up and got this. So we end up getting a draw over there. So yeah, that's my honest assessment.
You talk about players standing up. We did have one player that stood up with Salah pretty much most of the season, and that's Cody Gakpo. And it's really unfortunate that he got injured because I think he scored 5 goals in the League Cup as well. So he was like top goal scorer as well. So he would have made a difference It's just unfortunate that the guy who's been scoring goals as well as Salah in our team happened to get injured. And we also lost Trent, who was a very good creative force, especially like if you're going to play long balls, then he's the guy you want to play your long balls with, because he's normally the best out of the team with him. And
I hear that, but we were going into the game saying
you take two of them out of the team.
But we were going into the game saying they don't have Hall, they don't have Gordon, they don't have Botman. Like we could do the same thing.
They were ever going to play like that, though, were they? They were always.
No, I'm not
play.
doing the hindsight thing of thing. I didn't want to win the game. I didn't want to win the game.
I still think that
I didn't want to win just the Premier League when I'm in the final. If we lost to Brighton in the third round, I wouldn't have given a shit. But because it's Wembley,
we still haven't
70 years without winning a cup. Like Jesus.
Yeah, but that's
I don't
want to. That's not what we said on the Friday show before the game.
Did we really want it that much?
I don't want to harp too much on it.
I know,
but we've won it. We've won it twice. We would have won it 3 times in 4 years.
FA Cup, okay, fair enough. FA Cup, I came here, I said, okay, we got eliminated. I don't give a shit. We played the B side. But not every time, like, okay, so we got knocked out of the FA Cup, we're going to win the league anyway. We got knocked out of the Champions League, we're going to win the league anyway. We lose the final at Wembley, we're going to win the league anyway. We can't have that energy.
Okay, Man City won it 4 straight years, and they won the Premier League in, I think, 3 of those. So I'm not going to say that it's a worthless competition. But regardless, what Jerry's saying is not wrong. I would have liked to have seen Mo at least attempt to do something more. But the caveat is that, to be honest with you, with Cody Gakpo not in there, no matter how much Mo does, I don't know about you guys, but if I'm Newcastle, I'd still just triple team Mo, because Jota's not going to do anything. Diaz isn't going to do anything. And as long as Mo's double teamed, he can't serve either of them, because what do both of those players do when they get into attacking positions? They lay it off to Salah. And we saw that in the PSG game. And we didn't see it in the Newcastle game because no one could do anything. So while I do agree with Jerry, at the same time, if Salah were to still do that, I'm not going to sit here and say I believe he is the type of player who can go through a double or a triple team, because I've only seen that in glimpses, and I've never seen him as a scruff of the neck style of guy. And I think it just, like, yes, I would have wanted to see more, at least attempted, like I would have wanted to see a change in tactics, even though I don't think it would have changed the outcome of the game. But at the same time, it just highlights the fact that, like, you're still a one-armed beast, right? You don't have anything through the middle or on the left side.
I mean, there's ways we could have changed it up after seeing the game and going back on it. You know, you could have easily gone, look, let's just change up the front three. Let's put Salah central for a little bit so he can drop deep, pick up the ball in the middle of the park, maybe get a bit more creative from there. You know, put Diaz on the right, put Jota on the left for like 10, 15, 20 minutes. See how that changes things. See if players can get in the game a little bit better. You know, it was just a shit show from everyone on Sunday. You know, the manager, the players, everyone was just, it was crap. You know, there's sometimes I think we try and find excuses when excuses aren't there. And, you know, the better team won. They played better football, tactically better, drilled better for the game. And they got the trophy and we didn't. Is it embarrassing? Not really, because it's Newcastle are a good side. You know, is it something we got to live with and learn? Yeah, of course it is. And, you know, if we learn that for next season and the seasons after, you know, sometimes you've got to change things up and move things around. But, you know, I'm just, it's football, man. It happens. I watched Premier League winning squad in Manchester City losing FA Cup final to Wigan. You know what I mean? These things happen. These things happen.
Even the Centurions lost to Wigan.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, in like semi-final, quarter-final, whatever it was, wasn't it? It doesn't matter if, you know, it doesn't mean you've not got a quality coach. It doesn't mean you've not got quality players. Things happen in football like that are just really freaky, or, you know, you just get completely outplayed in that tactic for a game. Like one coach can have one coach can just have the tactical game of his life. You know, it doesn't mean they're a better coach than the opposition coach. It just means they had the tactical game of their life and planned better and wanted it more, maybe. And certain players in our team weren't up for it, you know. And I can understand, again, why Mo gets a lot of the criticism in that game, because he is our main player. He is the one we've been champion all season. And then when he goes missing or not doing what he should be doing in games like this, because in my opinion, if this was, I don't know, December, January time, I think Mo would have impacted the game differently. I really do. I think he would have dropped deeper and started being creative, because that's what we've seen from Mo earlier in the season. I don't know what it was. Mo looked a bit lost out there, to be fair. You know, weren't really moving around. You know, Mo is a clever footballer as well. He's got a very good IQ about the game. You know, we've seen that from being a very pacey winger to losing a bit of his pace and changing the way he plays as a footballer. We know he's got the IQ for it. So I don't know what's wrong. It just went tits up on Sunday, and you know, it is what it is, and we'll learn from it, we'll move from it, and let's just win the rest of our games now and win number 20 and have a great party at the end of May. Do you know what I mean?
I will say as well that, like, if you're talking about teams that really go up against other teams, Newcastle are the team that do that. They knocked Arsenal out in 2 legs, like, and they knocked out like an Arsenal which basically hardly ever concedes many goals. Like, there's only Notts Forest that have conceded less than them, and they're a proper defensive team. And they took them on twice and beat them. I think they beat them in the league as well. So they can beat good teams on their day. Just wasn't our day. Right?
I will say Trent was a huge miss for the final.
Massive miss in that game. Konate offers nothing. Absolutely. I know he nearly scored. I know he nearly scored against PSG with an header. But
that's something Mike
offers nothing going forward. And he also can't cross it either, by the way. Like, he's not one of those guys. Like, that's why you're basically throwing a centre half as your outlet on the right. Like,
so before the game on my preview, I wanted Curtis Jones to play right back.
Yeah.
And the reason I wanted Curtis Jones to play right back, because I thought he could invert into their midfield areas, get a bit more ball control in that area of the pitch. And I think Curtis came on and played right back later in the game, didn't he? So maybe that's something we got to look at times. But look, again, guys, I'm not going to sit here and get upset about everything. I'm really not. We're ahead of schedule under this manager, and probably going to win number 20 next season when he's got a few more of his players wants to do his own things. And if he's still doing finals like that, then we can have a real discussion. But for right now, probably give him a bit of a pass.
Endz is so frustrated because he just couldn't run the agenda today, you know, because actually he was logical.
It's not about running the agenda. I just realized no one wants to listen, bro. JJ just put down the masterclass and everyone just made excuses. That's all
I didn't make excuses for Mo.
Or excuses. It's always the and but. No, just listen.
I agree with a lot of stuff Jerry says.
Yeah, but there's a reason why you contradict yourself by adding a but. You can't say I'm listening and I understand and then add a but. You can't. That's contradicting yourself. If you agree.
I just said Mo was shit. I mean,
I don't expect any of you when I say something to just say, yeah, I agree, and then move on, because there's no point. We disagreed with Mike,
Jerry.
Defeating the objective of what he said.
And we disagree with both of your assessment on Mo. That's it.
No, but it just shows that you guys didn't listen. It's not about, yes, you need to sit there and agree, but you should listen to what he's saying and going, okay, I get what he's saying. He's not criticizing the play overall. We're not saying that he hasn't helped us this season, but he's talking about in the big game, in the big moments, he went hiding. That's why I just chilled. I've let JJ run the masterclass today. But
okay, so let me ask you a question.
Go on, cool.
I'm gonna ask you a question. You heard what I have to say. So do you agree with what I have to say?
What did you say? Remind me.
So you're accusing us of not listening, and you're not.
No. Remind me what you're saying into what you're talking about. You said quite a lot of stuff today.
I'm talking about the Salah performances over the last 2 games. The same topic.
I disagree with what you said. It wasn't his fault in the Newcastle game, because I agreed with what Jerry said. Your big players have to turn up. It's not just the manager's fault. If you look at you see your manager's tactics is not working. As a big player, you have to change that yourself. You're on the pitch and say, look, Gaffer, it's not working. Like Virgil at the back should have said, it's not working with Dan Burn up against McAllister. He should have turned around as a leader and gone, now we have to change that. He can't be marking him because we nearly conceded straight away. Let's go and fix that. Same as Salah. If the attack isn't working, you can't just go and hide, bro. You got to come back and help out or try and do something, say something. I don't know, adjust something, say to the manager. I don't know if he didn't say that or not, but I can look at how he played and go, nah, that brother was hiding today. he went on it.
Okay, so do you think Gerrard was a big game player?
Of course he was.
Yeah, I agree. Gerrard is probably the biggest English game player I've ever seen. In 2005, if Benitez doesn't change it at halftime, do you think we still win that game?
But at the same time, didn't he not score? He took the game by the scruff of the neck, didn't he?
But I never.
You can't say the tactical change made him go and score the goal. He didn't. He took the game.
But I never denied that.
I never denied the tactical change. No,
but that's not my question. No, because Endz has to answer this question.
No, but you're saying that did he change the game?
Yeah, but can you be honest about it? If you're saying Gerrard took the game by the scruff of the neck, no problem. Agreed. Now, can you answer my question? So, if Benitez doesn't change at halftime, do we win that game? Honestly,
I don't know if we would win it because I can't predict the future. I couldn't have predicted it, but I know that Gerrard would have ended up doing something because of the experience of seeing him do it in the FA Cup, seeing him do it before when we beat Olympiacos. He's the one who turned up for us then as well. In the big games when we needed big goals, he's the one that turned
100%.
up.
I think Gerrard would have
let me go and do it.
I think Gerrard would have still scored the goal in that game, but I don't think we would have won it.
One
of the reasons why we won it is the Benitez tactical adjustment.
Okay, I get
what you're saying. Like, we're not listening to JJ. No, we're listening to JJ, but we're disagreeing with him. Just like you listen to me.
In that game, it was a substitution of Didi Hamann that won us that game because it allowed Gerrard to move further forward.
Yeah. That's my point.
I agree.
So 1 second. Can I just say one sentence?
Yeah, go on.
Kmack is extreme, okay? But there is some validity to what he's saying. You guys are extreme on the other side, and there is validity to what you're saying. Just because I listened to JJ and gave him a perfectly fine rebuttal that he can openly disagree with, no problem. And just saying, oh, you guys are not listening just because it's Salah. No, we're listening. No one is saying that you're blaming him in general.
I disagree that you're listening. That's my opinion. I don't think you guys
when it comes to the two games, proof that I'm listening is Jerry said he doesn't blame Salah for PSG and he blames him for Newcastle. I actually said I do blame him for PSG, but I don't blame him for Newcastle. And I kept my energy consistent. Ask me right now, do I blame Diaz for Newcastle? I'll tell you no. Even though there's people in this fan base blaming him because the energy is consistent. When I talk about the PSG game, he was in a dangerous position 100 times. All his crosses hit PSG players. And when he was in a dangerous position, he missed 2 clear-cut chances. Blame
to that point,
if I can't get him the ball and I'm blaming the manager.
But do you know what's the worst? Do you know?
We're listening. We disagree.
No, but I agree. No, I agree. Like, again, to kind of explain it, the manager has to do more. Just like we spoke about Benitez, but 100%. But there are plenty of times in football where the manager does something and it only works because the player goes and takes the game. So we go look at obviously Didi Hamann coming on in 05. Yeah, he came on, but Gerrard could have easily just said, all right, I'm just going to be more attacking now. I guarantee you, Benitez didn't say, you've got to attack, but you've also got to play as a right back and defend and then get the ball into midfield and burst forward. Like, that was Gerrard taking the game by the scruff of the neck within that context. So I go back to the point. I'm not saying that if Salah done that, Liverpool would have won the game. I'm not putting that out there. But I am saying that when I go and look at footballers and the best footballers, they are players that no matter what, they will try and do something. They don't. And when Endz talks about hiding, the reason why that's really, really good is because I always talk about my players. If you just stand out wide and just stand there in the match and just, the ball hasn't come to me. The ball hasn't come to me. I haven't got the ball. It's either you're lazy or you don't want to get on the ball. Because in any match, right, there's 11 players. You can easily hide in an 11-a-side game. I've played with players. I've played at that level where your midfielder's standing there, but they don't really want the ball. He's there, but he doesn't really want it. He's not demanding that he wants the ball. Yeah, Jones used to go and do that. You have that with players where they're in a certain area and I don't really want the ball here. Yeah, don't give it to me. Don't. So the body language, Salah's body language, apart from the ball and over the top, wasn't give me the ball and I'm going to try and do something, right? If I flip it, I don't even want to talk about it, but I'm not even going to mention it because it's going to go on we're going to go on a tangent. But we've seen players in certain teams. We talk about
that. Going on a tangent or just
no. I said I don't want to mention it because we're going to go on a tangent and it's going to become a conversation that I don't want it to become. But I'm saying that we use something else. We watch players in other teams, right, that play for shit teams, if we're being honest, 8th, 9th, 10th in the league, play all over Europe in Europe's worst leagues, French league, Eredivisie, whatever, and we look at those players and go, oh, you know what? That player's good. Wow, that player turned up. Reason why we look at those players is because, yes, their team might be garbage, but they'll go and turn up and try and do something, even when everything's against them. And what I'm saying is that was, for me personally, and it's not you guys, is I looked at Salah and maybe I drank the Kool-Aid. I believed that this would be the season where, for me, where the way the season was going, he was going to show why he is the guy. and he was going to go. And whereas in that moment, and in the moment, as Jamie said, rightfully so, arguably the most important time of the season, and we talk about this every single year, by the way, every single year around this time, it's where is Salah? Where is Salah? And that for me was disappointing because of how good he has been this season. Because ultimately, Harry Kane's done it. He scored all these goals, done all these things, but in the right moments, where was he? Right? And in a rubbish team, in a crap Spurs team, he still gets his goals and assists. But when it matters, where were you? We can use Henry, you can use whoever. But I'm saying when we're talking about the best in the world, and we're talking about
example.
Jerry, one thing. Do you think it's psychological? Because he hasn't scored in finals on a regular basis.
No, but this is my point.
Or do you think it's psychological?
Kmack, you're not even getting just one second.
Go on.
Because Kmack, you're not understanding. Like the way that you and Husam right now are interpreting what Endz and JJ are saying is you're looking at it from a result-based analysis. The result being a goal or an assist or a change to a win. Whereas all JJ is saying is that he needs to see more from Salah in that game, in that situation. Not that he needs to see more result, not that he needs to see a goal or a win. All he's saying is that I would have just rather seen Salah try to take the game by the scruff of the neck. And if he fails, which is a perfect
and great
valid point.
And Kmack and Mike.
Result.
And Mike, and going to Husam's point when he's talking about PSG, the reason why I don't blame in Salah is because, to your point, like you're saying and everyone said, players can have a bad game. Players can have a bad game. But Salah in that game, when I looked at PSG, is what he tried though. Like, he tried to get the 1-2. He tried to score the shot, and the shot was rubbish, and it went over the bar. But guess what? He tried to get it again, and he tried to beat Mendes again, and he tried to play the pass again, and he was involved, right? When for me, the worst thing you can do in football, the worst thing is when the chips are down, you're out there and for me, it's almost we're passing off responsibility. That's what it is.
It's not even that big of a criticism. We spent a lot of time arguing it. It's like this isn't rocket science.
No, but you're saying it's results based. But I said this pre-game.
But like
before a ball was kicked,
you weren't on
the show, but Jerry remembers.
All I'm trying to say
I said the Newcastle midfield is going to bombard us. We need 4-man midfield. I said play Endo, and then Tom Little's like, oh my god.
But all I'm saying is that
they're like, oh, would you rather play Nunes or Endo? I said I'd rather play Endo. I explained why, and then Nunes and Tom Little start leaning back.
I'm just saying
we brought on Nunes. Did it make a difference? No. So when I say that I think the Newcastle game was tactical, we brought on every single forward we had at the club. Not a single player made a difference except the one time we played it on the ground. Okay, and you're still blaming like one guy, not for the outcome of the game, but for his performance.
What you just said,
you're just arguing semantics. Whether it's the outcome you're blaming or the individual performance, the point still stands. All 6 forward were fucking awful. Okay. And on top of that, the only time we scored was when we played the ball on the ground. You want to know why? Because long balls with a 6'7" giraffe over there against a 5'5" winger is never going to work. So when I talk about tactics and you're like, oh man, like, I get what you're saying, but I was like, we forgot that they had a nice. There's a reason why I said I think you guys are having a heroic approach to it. Because what Jerry and Endz want Salah to do is, let me drop deep to this DM position, get the ball, dribble past 6 players, and shoot it from 30 yards.
But guess what? I use that as an example. Go on, Mike. Go on, Mike. Sorry.
You, in your statement just now, you contradicted it because you said these players didn't make a difference, right? The argument here is not about making the difference. The argument here is about trying to make the difference. It's about putting forth the effort. That's all they're saying. It's not like they're asking Salah to have made magic. They're just saying, I would have rather.
That's what they're asking.
No.
Listen.
I'm not.
That's why I said we're not listening.
Never mind.
That's what you just said.
No.
You're looking at the tactics. Okay, I'll give you exact words what they both said. You're looking at this and you're saying that it's not working. Take the game by the scruff of the neck. Don't just stand there. Translate it for me, since I don't understand.
I will. Perfect. Ready? And I'll do it with an in-game example, right? Yes. Virgil van Dijk, 5 straight times, decides to go long, diagonal to Mohamed Salah. Mohamed Salah loses the battle 5 straight times. The next time Virgil van Dijk gets the ball, what does Salah do? Maybe this time he decides to say, I'm not going to be in that position. Hold on. Just to finish this example, Salah says, all right, I know that Virgil has tried to pass it to me 5 straight times. This time I'm not going to be there. That way he can't make that pass. I'll drop deeper. Hopefully Gravenberch gets the ball. Then I'll call for the ball. Then I'll say, hey, Gravenberch, overlap me. That's just one tiny example. Doesn't mean that has to lead to a goal. It just means that you tried something different. And ultimately, all their point has boiled down to is I wanted him to try something different. Now, you can look at that as saying, take the game by the scruff of the neck, pull a Eden Hazard or a Neymar and do a fucking worldie and score from 40 yards. Or you could view it as, I just wanted you to try something different, just like how.
Once again, you're using examples of players who have not taken games by scruff of the neck multiple times. Henry played 4 FA Cup finals, scored 0 goals.
You're looking at the wrong.
No, but Husam, the reason why
didn't score a goal. He played a Euro final, didn't score a goal.
Don't look at the
Eden Hazard.
Don't look at the players.
Let me respond.
Why are you here,
listen, you smirking doesn't make your point right.
Let me hear what G's got to say, Don.
10 years ago, Chelsea played PSG at Stamford Bridge. PSG had 10 men. They got eliminated. Hazard didn't take the game by the scruff of the neck. You get what I'm saying? So
yes, and we could have criticized him. But what I'm trying to say is there have been multiple times, right, with Salah, right, where we've spoken about back end of majority of every season. The back end of majority of every season, there's been conversation about where we sat. Last season, the season before, the back
last
end,
season when he came back injured from AFCON.
After AFCON, after this,
he came back injured.
It doesn't matter. I saw Neymar more or less break his ankle 2 games before that. He goes and has to play the game against Croatia and he's limping. He's got his socks half down and he goes and scores the goal that ultimately. What I'm saying is it's not about Salah has got to score. He's got to dribble. I'm saying he is good enough, right? And he's had a good enough season and he's proved it to go and not hide. And what you are doing is when you stand out there, because ultimately what we're saying then is, oh, Salah is Salah and that's great, but he can stand there and we have to wait to get him the ball in dangerous situations. So he's actually very reliant on what Liverpool do. The argument that's been when it's surrounding Salah is he's playing with crap players and he's doing everything by himself when we're Salah FC. What we're saying right now is ultimately Salah has to get the ball in dangerous positions. Otherwise, it's you might as well play Haaland or whoever up front. And I don't believe that's the case because I'm rating him. So I'm saying your best players. It doesn't matter who. You can look at the best player for Bournemouth, the best player for Newcastle, right? I've seen Isak, whoever. I'm going to go and I'm going to try and do so. It might not work. I might come centrally and try and lose the ball, but I'm going to go again, and I'm going to go again, and I'm going to go again. I didn't want to bring it up. We've seen it. We saw it with Mane. We saw it in the finals where Salah, when everything went wrong, when Salah's arm got popped out of his arm, right, and Salah was the main guy, and the Lana comes on and we're rubbish. Who's the one that scores the goal? Who's the one that tries? And what I'm saying is it didn't work because we ended up not winning, so it doesn't matter. But I'm saying that for me, he is good enough to do more. And I don't think that's a bad standard to have at all if we're rating him. We can't put him here and then start saying...
What I realised, Jerry, if you see what happened, these men don't rate him as high as they say they do.
But before I'm going to stop talking. Husam, this is why I said...
You guys don't rate him as high. Facts.
No, but Husam, this is why...
We disagree with you. It doesn't mean that, we're not listening.
No, but
I'm listening and I'm disagreeing.
This is the last thing because I've spoken quite a lot.
I listen to you and I disagree with you. What's the problem? It's a football debate. Do I ask you to agree with everything I say? I don't.
Husam, I've spoken a lot, but this is why I said before I said it, I said I didn't want the conversation to go because you're going to talk about revisionism and stuff. I'm not saying he's the better player or whatever. I'm saying in those moments, when you think of the best players that have ever played the game, they are defined by moments because not every player is going to get 40, 50 goals a season. They're not. Garrincha didn't get 100 goals a season. And Maradona didn't get 100. They scored a ton amount of goals, yes. But the reason why these guys are revered to as the best is because football is defined by moments. You yourself, when you close your eyes and think of the best moments in football, it's the moment. It's when Gerrard goes and scores against Olympiacos. It's the moment. It could be a City game where Suarez done his thing. And I'm saying, for me, this is where he stamps himself. And if Salah does that, he's in the Ballon d'Or conversation because he looks like I'm trying to drag my team. The reason why he's dropped off is because you look at it and you're like, oh, where were you? Dembele was there. Where were you? But he's good enough to be on that level. He's better. I don't want Dembele over Salah. I don't. But you need to offer more if you are that guy. If I was playing and I had my best player on the pitch play like that, I'm berating him in the change room. And I don't care what you've done before because I'm talking about that game now. It doesn't matter because football's defined in moments. If Virgil van Dijk has a game, an outstanding game for 90 minutes, and in the 91st minute, he makes a mistake and he slips in or whatever and concedes an own goal or gives us a red card and we concede a penalty and lose the game, I'm not looking at it like, oh, for 90 minutes, though, he's been outstanding. It's that moment because you're defined by moments. Kelleher, if he stops that goal, we win the game against Newcastle.
Yeah, but Mo's had 100 moments this season.
He has, but in the biggest moments, when you look back in the biggest moments, yes, in the season he's been fantastic. I'm agreeing with you. In the biggest moment, Husam, right? Against whether again, it didn't come off against PSG. That's why I'm saying I don't blame him. The worst thing is when you don't do anything. That's the worst thing you can do. When I'm just not going to do anything, then I'm going to wait for the ball to come to me. I would have preferred him to try and get that.
Okay,
and as Kmack said, it
we
doesn't work
just
because he gets triple teamed.
We just disagree on the concept of it then, because for me, I blame him for PSG. I actually do, because if you get in a dangerous position and you do nothing, that's what I blame you for. That's the thing that I in PSG I was so frustrated with him because he had the ball in dangerous position and did nothing. That's when I blame you because you were there and you did nothing, and we got eliminated by PSG. That's what I have a problem with. The Newcastle game, I cannot blame him, but I understand what you're saying. But I just don't look at it the same way you're looking at it. You're talking about having moments. He's had them all year long. He didn't have them against Newcastle, but I don't think we even put him in a position to get the ball to have a moment to begin with. But you know, it is what it is. I mean, we just disagree on the concept of the idea of it, and even like the Mane moments that you've mentioned. We put him in a position to have those moments, like the corner against Madrid in the Champions League final, like the moments that he had. And the same thing with Salah, like even the Salah moments that he had this season, like Bournemouth away, like wherever, players were there around him, the tactics were working, and we put him in a place in order for him to deliver a moment. That's why, once again, I'm mad at him for PSG, because he had the ball in a position to deliver a moment and he didn't. So I criticize. But Newcastle, I just think that's on slot 100%. I'll be completely honest with you. But regardless, we can disagree, and I'm not going to accuse you of not listening. Hi, G.
Yeah, big up, man. Big up, everyone, man. Everyone's having a good evening. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was a good conversation, but I was sitting there, I was listening. Like, I stopped watching what I was watching just to listen to what you guys are saying. But now, all jokes aside, though, I feel like I hear, because obviously I talk to Jerry and Endz all the time, and I know exactly where they're coming from in the way that they speak about Salah and what they've been talking about today. Like obviously Jerry talking there about like in these moments and stuff like that. And I think really it just comes down to what Endz just said, which is about the way that people rate Salah and the way that the level that you hold him to. I think it more comes down to how you look at this player, i.e., do you look at Salah and think that he should do certain things or he should be the guy to do certain things? Because people speak of Salah in that way, which is the way of someone who basically can drag it, Gerrard-esque effectively, which is man's going to drag the team, score this goal, like do all of these kind of things, put in a proper performance where you're like, even if you don't score, as Jerry said, regardless of whether you score or don't score, you're at least trying at the bare minimum. So we can't sit there and say, oh yeah, but he didn't even try to do that. And for me, I don't look at Salah as that type of player. So my standards of what I hold him to isn't of that standard. That's why I'm like, I fully get where these guys are coming from, because the reality is everyone else, in my opinion, you guys hold him to that standard of like he is the Gerrard-esque in terms of, bro, this guy is going to do this, that, and the third, and, you know, et cetera, et cetera. And I don't really feel like Salah's just that type of player. I don't think that he ever has been that type of player. He might have had like odd moments where it's probably happened, but in general, he's not that type of player. He's not that kind of, you know, that type of guy. So when we have these games against PSG, against Newcastle, whatever, I'm annoyed at him because obviously he's not turned up. but my annoyance kind of stops. Like I'm like, yeah, like I'm as annoyed as I would be for the best player that we have in attack, kind of thing, but not in terms of like, bro, like, I expected Salah to do X, Y, and Z, and pick up the ball from this. I didn't really expect him to do that. So like the way I'm looking at him is just more like, well, I'm gonna have to start looking at other things, so to speak, because I expect Salah to drop deep, pick up the ball, and try and affect play, because he's just not that type, of player anyway, and he doesn't really put in that level of effort, so to speak. What he is, though, is if you can get the team doing what they have been doing this season for 99% of the season, he's the only guy in the team that's going to more or less finish it off, give or take, like from what we've seen this season anyway. But everything else, I'm just like, like Salah is what Salah is at the end of the day. Like he's just that type of player. So that's why I don't get mad at it, because I'm like, well, we know what he's about. We know what he's on. We know that Salah isn't that type of guy. But I do think that people put him on this crazy pedestal that you think, yeah, this guy is this, and not even Endz and Jerry. I think that they're talking from a perspective of you guys are rating him this highly. So if he is going to be rated this highly, let me see what that looks like. And if he doesn't show it, PSG, Newcastle, regardless of whether we want to say slot tactics, whatever, you yourself didn't turn up. So if you yourself didn't turn up, bro, unfortunately, with the way the season's panned out, you're the guy we're looking at. You're the only, like, you're the guy who's scoring all the goals. You're the guy that, you see what I'm trying to say? So if you're not doing that, bro, we're going to look at you. We are going to criticize you quite heavily, because the reality is you kind of deserve it at the end of the day. Now, he's not the only one, but we're focusing purely on Salah. So I don't want to talk about anybody else. He isn't the only player. But if we're just talking about Salah and you don't turn up in these type of moments, even with your customary just GA and shit performance or poor performance or whatever, bro, man are going to get mad. And then we are going to look at you, because now we've knocked out of the Champions League. Now we lost the Carabao Cup final. Not to say that the Premier League isn't great. Of course it is. You want to win the Premier League. But guess what? We just got knocked out of two competitions that, let's be real, most of you sat here, not like you guys on the panel, but most of the people in the chat said, yeah, like we can go far in these competitions. We can win that. We can definitely win that.
Can I ask you a question just to do with that as well? Do you think me and Jerry didn't rate him too high and our expectations are too high for him?
No. I think you guys do rate him high. But it's the way in which you guys rate him is, I think it's actually differs to the way that everybody says they rate Mo Salah. So I almost feel like people contradict themselves when they talk about Salah and what they expect from Salah. Not everybody, but I do listen to the way that people rate him, and I'm like, okay, you rate him for that, that's absolutely fine. But when those things don't happen, the conversation shifts to, yeah, but this brother didn't do that, that brother didn't do this. Bro, we've been on streams and we've listened to people talk and we see what people say online. It's always shifts. And I'm like, nah, we can't let it shift. Like, Salah was shite, like dog shite in these games. And even the fact that we didn't necessarily get the ball to him, brother, he didn't even do anything though. Like, it just turned to a point where Livramento didn't really have to do anything. He wasn't playing the game like some Roberto Carlos-esque performance. Like, he just put in some basic performance that any non-league player would have put in and it would have been fine. But Salah, I expect you to shout at your teammates. Let me get the ball. Let me just do something to affect play, like anything. Because you played the game for how long? You played, like, how many minutes did you play in the game? Again, it's not just you, because we're focusing purely on Salah. I have to look at you, bro, because this will be one of the main reasons, as well as being knocked out, why people, like, think about it like this year. There's not even a general consensus that believed that he should have won the Ballon d'Or, even when he was scoring all the goals and doing everything. Usually you have a general consensus with a player. You'll get people who disagree, but there's always a general consensus, more or less majority. With Salah, there's never really been that. Why? There's almost like something missing with a Salah. I don't know what it is. Like, I don't really care either, but there's just always something missing. Games like that, that's where I look at it and think, brother, you know, if you turned up in that game, you could have shut a lot of people up, and the general consensus now gets bigger and bigger. Guy moved to 6 in the space of like a month. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Got knocked out the Champions League, mate.
But this is
that's very Champions League heavy.
It's very, very true. But look at it. Look how many, this brother's got bare goals and is about to win the Premier League.
He should at
least be in the top 3 conversation.
Yeah, but he would never win the Ballon d'Or.
No. He doesn't. This is the point I'm trying to make, is that he doesn't even necessarily have to win. But there wasn't even a general consensus when we was in the Champions League that he would be the Ballon. That was That was the maddest thing. You would have thought with all the goals, with all the assists, with the GA, with the records, with that he would everyone would, a general consensus anyway, would sit there and be like, it has to be Salah. That wasn't even, it was only amongst us Liverpool fans. That was about it. Everyone else
it wasn't. That wasn't.
No, it
It
wasn't.
definitely, it 1,000,000% was.
There was
It
a vote.
definitely-
There was a lot.
Of the others.
I think the Ballon d'Or conversation shifted after PSG, and
PSG.
even in Newcastle.
Bro,
I think if he,
I promise you, Rafinha has been in this conversation. Mbappe wasn't even a conversation. Like people didn't even think, because everyone said Mbappe was stinky at the beginning of the season. Rafinha has been in the same conversation. I'm not saying, by the way, nobody thought that. Of course, there are bare people who did think that, but there was never a general consensus that Salah
but
should
most
win the
rival
Ballon d'Or.
fans that we work with did say he deserves it. But I think after the Champions League, we got knocked out in that one. It was just like, listen, I was just like, I didn't even run it anymore. I was just, I even think if he scored like a hat trick against Newcastle, he still wouldn't have won it. To be honest with you, like that's just, it doesn't play a part. It's very Champions League heavy now anyway. And as soon as we got knocked out of the Champions League, it was like, khalas, it's
just the
done.
player of the tournament in the Champions League. That's it. And you have
It's that's why Vinicius, like I actually thought Rodri deserved it, but that's why people thought Vinicius deserved it as well, mainly for UCL, not like really La Liga like that. So even though they did win La Liga as well, but you get my point.
Weren't the last three people to win it Ronaldo, Messi, and Ronaldinho, who didn't win the Champions League in the last 20 years?
No, there were, but before then, look, before the Ronaldo Messi era, it wasn't just Champions League heavy. Like it was international competitions, it was multiple different things.
I don't really care about the Ballon d'Or. I just think it's
now I think it's like more because Champions League was used to separate Messi and Ronaldo, so now it became the standard after using it to separate Messi and Ronaldo. So anyway, regardless,
but even just on that, I know Mike's just saying that like you don't really care. You would have cared if Salah won, though. Like you would sit there and be like,
yeah, of course, because this is a good thing for the club.
Now he's not there. Everyone is like,
I'm an asshole,
I don't care,
and like I'm aware of that. Like when I win, it's mine, and when I lose, it doesn't matter.
But then, you know what, Fez? You know, you've admitted it's a Fez. I can't even argue.
No. For me, look, when we got knocked out the Champions League, I thought it was an opportunity for us to win the Champions League, but unfortunately, it is what it is. Do you
know what it is? I think we've gone on for far too long about Mo Salah, who probably is the reason we're going to win a league title.
Yeah,
and not talking about the other bums that we have in our forward line.
Which
it's like they're getting away with murder, you know. And the guy who's pretty much done everything for us this season is the one getting absolutely crucified.
Isn't there a stat where
I do want to talk about like the other topics now.
Isn't there a stat where the Arsenal midfielder that they put up front
might as well just play singles,
scored more goals
than
our forward line, but apart from Gakpo and Salah, and he's like a fake forward, like he's literally a midfielder that just chucked up fronts. He's actually got more goals than our three forwards.
I know what you're saying. Listen, let me grab these Superchats before we talk about the other people getting away with murder. Big up to Ryan, who says, makes me sick how the fans saying Slot is winning the league purely due to Klopp and give Klopp more credit for the season than Slot. If that's the case, then why didn't Klopp win the title in the last 4 years? I don't think anyone's giving Klopp. Why do you always hear voices in your head? Who's giving Klopp credit for this league?
I think that his algorithm is just so different from everyone else's that
like where do you watch this?
Move on.
I think I've seen one person say that, but not a lot of people.
Like I'm probably like one of the biggest like Klopp fans on this platform, and I give full credit to Slot. I think there's one thing as well we kind of like maybe learned this season. Maybe we have a manager that has a better like league system than it is for a knockout stage, and this is the first time in our lifetime we've seen that. Because Benitez was completely knockout stage and not league, you know. Even Dalglish won a Carabao Cup the way that he played in that knockout stages. Gerard Houllier, God rest his soul. All of these guys just knockout managers. Even Klopp like got to plenty of finals and stuff, so like he had that knockout thing about him. But now maybe it's something we have to get used to. It's a bit of the reverse until Slot learns how to change stuff, I guess, in the knockout.
Because he lost against Tottenham as well, by the way, in a double legger.
Yeah, Carabao Cup as well. 1-0.
Yeah, you got a point.
People getting onto Slot, but at the end of the day, Jamie did say something last week. If we win 3 back-to-back leagues, no one would give a fuck, to be honest with you. So yeah. People getting onto Slot too much for not rotating. This isn't his team. He doesn't trust my members of the squad. Elliot isn't good enough when he starts. Endo's only good for closing out games. Kwanzaa has struggled. I'm not blaming him for rotation. I'm blaming him for tactical approach, where it's I just don't think he approached the game right. Both of them, the approach was wrong, but I think Newcastle was even worse because we didn't even get into a dangerous position at all, bro. Like, I don't even know what they were thinking with Dan Burn on McAllister alone. That alone, like, and the fact we did it again in the second half after going 1-0 down from a Dan Burn header is just mad, to be honest with you. 2 weeks of misery. Y'all deserve that. Hashtag uncles. Nafisa is rattled. Chat, completely rattled. Imagine glazing this man couldn't be me, I tell you. Big up to you, Nafisa. You've glazed the team that's finished back-to-back second place. Big up to Hamid, who says, I fully blame Slot for both games. I hear it. I think it was just the approach that was wrong in PSG. It was no need to go gung-ho, but Newcastle just completely outcoached, to be honest with you. Habibi, can't wait till these bums leave the club. Hashtag shit. We'll talk about the bums now. Big up to Adarsh, who says, Salah's never been our guy in the cups on the knockouts. The other attackers didn't step up, and Slot shouldn't have stuck with the same attack that had 3 stinky games. I'll be honest with you guys, I don't even think it was the attack. Like, I just think we just got midfield slapped to pieces. Midfield. Like, we should have just played. The thing that fucking pissed me off is Slot found a solution away at Aston Villa for midfielders. Habibi, it worked. Just run it back, just run it back. Put Curtis left wing, invert him so he could do pass left, pass right, so we can keep the fucking ball a little bit instead of playing it long ball. It was just so weird why we just didn't run it back, to be honest with you. Big up to Tampaline, who says, hit the like button. Shocking conversion rate. We do have 700 people watching us on a Friday night. Big up to all of you guys. And we're not even at 200 likes yet, so make sure you guys are listening to him and liking the video. That's some horrible conversion rate right there. That's Nunes-esque, you know? Endz will defend you in a bit. Point being, we needed quality like Kvaratskhelia, but FSG does FSG stuff. Losing faith in Jota. Can't wait for 10-game purple patch every season. Need consistency. I'm like one of the main people that blames FSG. But over this last 2 games, we had the weapons necessary to go through, and we just didn't. And it's a collection of stuff, like individual performances, PSG/manager. For me, Newcastle manager / whatever, like manager 90% for me in the game. JJ and Endz have the neutral position, to be honest. Salah needs to say, fuck it, Slot got it wrong, and try some shit. Just stand right wing, not just stand right wing until the full-time whistle. Yeah, I hear it. I get where they're coming from. The problem is it's stand right wing and plus long ball with Dan Burn cleaning it. So it makes it even worse. Like, it's a combination of fuckery. When Slot screws it, I'd rather see Salah do some crazy shit that fails horribly than do what he did, which is just silently fail. Fair enough, then we just look at it differently. And I understand your perspective, but I just disagree with it. Mike, you later always doing some sort of calculations. Is what fun. This is never going to end. This calculator thing is never going to end.
Level 5 calculus, baby. Get to it.
Let's go. Salah is an attacker. He's not Gerrard, who was in midfield. He's not going to be able to affect the game if the team is shit. When G was speaking, I was
don't even open that game of worms.
Yeah, that's
don't even open.
Move on, please.
We're not doing that.
Listen, I can give him a response, Hadi. I don't have
just
to
move on.
I look at what G said when he was giving his like mini monologue, and I agree with what he said. Look, for me, like as highly as I rate Salah, like it's not the fact that it's not like he can dribble past 5 players and do something. That's never been him. So I think expecting that of him is just wild a little bit. But he's done it a couple of times, like Manchester City, Watford. But the fact that we remember them, like even me, I rate Salah above Hazard. But if you ask me who's a better dribbler, I'll tell you Hazard. Like, I'm not gonna say he's a better dribbler. I just think Salah's like consistency is next level. Jerry is making a very simple and valid point, not hard to understand really. JJ isn't saying blame Salah, he's saying where are you, Salah? I understand what he's saying, but I'm allowed to disagree with it. You know, don't just repeat what Endz says. Got to leave GOAT Nunes ball tonight. This is the issue. We have people in the fan base who call Nunes the GOAT.
Who called him the GOAT? Messi FC.
Yeah, and the problem is his name is Messi FC, and he's playing against Lionel Messi, Argentina.
Oh, they're playing today.
Playing Argentina, I swear. Let me check.
Watch them score ahead.
Right? They are playing Argentina. You're called Messi FC. Have some shame. I love Mo for what he is, and I don't expect him to be what he isn't, which is a dog that will drag my team in the big moments. That's not a problem. Yeah, a dog that will drag the team in a big moment, like Manchester City, like Manchester United, like Arsenal, like Chelsea, like all of these games. Guys, I must have been imagining stuff. The goal that he scored against Chelsea and the assist for Curtis Jones, not a big moment. The 2 assists for Diaz away at Old Trafford and the goal, not a big moment. The goal against Manchester City home and away, and the assist against Manchester City home and away, not a big moment. The goal in the 86th minute, 87th minute away at Arsenal, not a big moment. All of these things I was just imagining. You know, Liverpool, Arsenal, it was just me and JJ watching it, not the whole planet. You know, it was just 2 people watching it, right? Stop waffling. This is when you go over the top. Salah is a big moment player. Salah has shown the ability to perform in big moments. But if I do think that a manager is to blame more, I will voice that opinion. And in reverse, you say, I would rather he do something and it doesn't go through. I disagree with that. If you are in a position to do something, you better fucking do something. That's why I was mad at him at PSG. Because he could have scored a goal literally 4 minutes into the game and it's fucking game, set, and match. So that's why I blamed him. So I'm keeping the same energy consistent for this whole thing. Like I'm not, and we've spoken about the Newcastle game for the last hour, 37 minutes. I didn't mention Diaz or Nunes or Jota once. Like I'm gonna blame them. Like they're all fucking shit anyway, but I'm not gonna blame them because we just didn't put them in a position. Fucking Jota's 5'5" and he had to win the long balls against 2 giraffes. And we're talking about like, you know, it is what it is. Khalas Adi. We can disagree, John. Just don't go over the top. Oh, he doesn't do it in big moments.
He also missed one of the biggest chances in the game.
When PSG?
No, the Newcastle game. Like just
Jota,
the ball.
yeah,
he did. On target.
He did. But that was his only chance, to be fair.
And that was a Salah cross.
Yeah, I know. The Diaz layoff after that. Anyway, speaking of Diaz and Konate and Gravenberch, I love the fact now everything has to be in this last section together. We spent an hour and a half of Endz accusing us of not listening because we disagree with him because of his superior knowledge. As
he wasn't listening.
The stream. Make sure guys subscribe to his channel. It's in the description. I just added G's channel as well in the description. Please do give them all a subscribe, you guys. Come on. Every single one of you on the replay or right now, please do subscribe to all of these guys' channels. So, yeah. So, Jamie, I feel like you have been quiet for a bit. Next topic, Diaz to Arsenal, according to certain rumors. Konate and Gravenberch's injury. Van Dijk, Salah, 1 week they have to stay, 1 week they have to leave. I don't know what's going on. Off the pitch activity strictly. Talk to me, brother.
With Diaz, I said he can go whenever he wants. It's free there. I'll drive him, man. Look, with the Diaz, everyone knows my opinions on Luis Diaz. I don't rate him that highly. I will give him a bit of a bly low against a lot of other people. I think that double knee injury, a couple of years ago, really did ruin him a little bit. But I don't like the guy. He's too purple patchy for me. I don't rate him as highly as others do rate him. He's not my cup of tea. It's as simple as that. So, yeah, I don't want him at the football club anymore. Konate and Konate and Gravenberch. Apparently, they're not injured. So hopefully that's true. Apparently, it's precaution, and they've been sent home. You know, Ronald Koeman is a secret Liverpool fan at the end of the day. So, you know, he probably just sent them home. And I think with Alisson, I think he's just put something on his Instagram, I believe, saying that he's actually okay.
I actually saw that he got head butted like wrestling.
Yeah, he's got that mark over his nose, hasn't he? But apparently he said he's absolutely fine. He's just got to do what the rules say, where you got to sit out a week or whatever it is because of concussion protocol. So, but we don't play for 10 days, so it should be absolutely fine. I mean, you know, Gravenberch having some rest will be good, no doubt about it. He's played a lot of football. He's mentally probably shattered at this moment in time. He's also played not very well for me since January. I think Grav's been not great, but I think that's more of the way we've been playing as a system with 4-2-4 since that time as well. So it's getting a bit overworked in midfield. But Diaz, man. Yeah, look, Diaz, Jota and Nunes, you know, I think they get away with too much.
Jamie's had enough. I could tell.
I think they get away. I think they just get away with too much. I think they get away with so much constantly. I mean, having 4 goals between them in 2025 is disgusting. It just is. They're not good at the moment. And it's not just Darwin. It's not Darwin hate, you know. But Jota's shite. You know, Jota's crap. He's not doing it. You know, he can't even hold the ball. He can't even do what Slot wants him to do, is link the play. At least when Diaz plays the number 9 role, again, this is where I give Diaz a little bit of blight. At least he can link the play in that number 9 role. Is why everyone's fit. That's why he probably plays there. But no, we just need a change in that area of the pitch for me, because we rely too much on Mo. It is becoming a thing now when we all get the ball and everyone just does nice patterns of play, little passes here and there, and then they all just go towards the right-hand side where Mo is. You know, Diaz could be in a better position, Jota could be in a better... No, we'll just pass the ball to Mo. It's getting a bit ridiculous. Other people need to step up in our team in the forward end, and not enough players are. You know, Diaz
I don't think that happens. I don't think that happens unless Salah goes.
I hear that because Salah's your main guy, and
said that, Jay.
Like, but yeah, they just
because you look at it, and ironically, it's so funny, right? Yeah, I know people have been talking about Gakpo, and I feel like he's had a decent season.
But I've said about Cody. Diaz, halfway line.
No, 100%. No, 100%. I'm not comparing. I think they all can go in it. And I like Diaz.
They're all upgradable.
That's it. Can go. They're all upgradable, 100%. And Sam spoke about. But what I'm saying is, ironically, I'm saying when these guys have been at their best, right? So when we've wanted them, when they've looked good and stuff, right? Bar when they've had good bits of form at Liverpool. So for their clubs, and then what they've done for their national teams, so their prior clubs, they've all gone and shown that they can be like the guy and come up trumps in certain times. So, you know, Diaz for Colombia, he scored against Brazil, really, really good finish, right? Where he could have just fluffed his lines. Came up with a clutch cross against Spain in the last international break when they were in London. Gakpo, we saw the finish he did yesterday, or when it was the day before, right? We've seen what he's done in the World Cup when he's the guy and he's playing consistently. Jota's the one that's obviously injury prone, but we see him. Those two guys, both of them, have gone and shown that they can be good. The problem you have is, when you've got a Haaland, like when you've got a whoever, right? Is there are levels and there's a hierarchy, and it's like you give me the ball at every opportunity. You feed me the ball. That's Liverpool's system. You feed Salah the ball. Hence why he gets the most assists. Hence why we spoke about, just a moment ago, Salah not dropping deep and stuff, because it's just feed him the ball in those areas. Don't even drop back to defend. Just stay up there. We'll feed you the ball, right? So when that happens and he's just being fed the ball, right? And that is the play. What you start to do after a while is you take the initiative away from players. The difference you had when it was Salah, Bobby, and Mane is that Bobby was a different type of player, but Mane was there from before Salah. So guess what? How many times did Mane go and look frustrated with Salah? There was actually the big one where he's annoyed because Salah hasn't passed him the ball, because you've got two egos that want to be the guy. Now, it's very, very beneficial, but I heard someone talk about it. I think it was Tom Little on the terrace. He was talking about it and said, the two wingers are beta wingers. They're like beta. They're not the alpha.
You sure you want to agree with Tom Little? You sure?
No, but 100%.
He is a criminal. Keep that in mind.
No, he's a criminal, 100%. But sometimes the criminals, even the clocks. Do you know what I mean? Correct. But for me, it's when you're these players, and going to your point, it doesn't matter who we bring in, unless you go and make the guy that main man, the way you made Haaland the main guy when he came into the team, right? The way you made, it's going to be very difficult to go and see it change, because Salah, it's people don't think about these things, but when you come to a changing room and it's Salah, right? Salah's the guy. It's like we could bring someone that's as good as Gerrard on pens. Salah's not. You're not taking Salah off pens, because guess what? It's Salah, because this is the position he's in within the team. So it makes it really difficult and within the players. And I'm telling you can see it where I go and do a dribble and it don't work, and Salah's looking over at me. And because Salah's the guy, ultimately you start to palm it off to him. So they're not taking initiative, and I'm seeing it for their clubs and other teams. Gakpo was a beast at PSV, but everything went through him. He was the main guy. He's not the main guy at Liverpool. So he's never going to be able to.
Jerry, as well, if you look at the players for their countries, bro, you can see that they're different players when they're playing for the international team. Diaz for Colombia is unreal watching him play. Like the other players, they stand up and. But yeah, listen, I get it, man. But will we have a change, and will they get someone else in that's going to be of a Mane ilk where? Maybe someone's different mentality. Maybe they will. Maybe
isn't that the type of player that you're signing? Isn't that the type of character that you're signing? Someone who actually believes in themselves and goes, you know what? I want to try and get as many goals as Salah.
Recently, I'll be honest.
I want to try and be the assist monster. Like, but isn't that
thing is, Kmack?
I wish we could do Kvaratskhelia. I think Kvaratskhelia has that about him.
Yeah, but I don't think that it's like, I think that you could view it the way of Salah, but the way that I see it is that, at least with the whole transfer thing, you have the necessities that we're going to need, and then you have the things that people want, right? Like, players will leave. You will need to replace those players. So there's no point. Like, if Diaz leaves, have to get a left winger. If Nunez leaves, have to get a striker, X, Y, Z, right? But with this particular Salah argument, which I'm glad JJ brought up, I don't necessarily think it's the alpha psychological component. I really more so think it's that you're pigeon-footing yourself into creating from one part of the pitch, right? If you break it up into thirds, you've now pigeon-footed yourself into just the right side. I think what this team has lacked throughout the whole season is the maverick in the center of the park. Like, I think Szoboszlai has done well. I think McAllister has done well in those positions.
I agree.
When he gets to them. But the issue is that we don't have anyone to create through the middle, and we don't play through the middle. We play through the wings. If you were to go
I
out,
think Szoboszlai would have played that pass to Chiesa.
Oh, okay, but
No.
I don't think he would have.
I think you do just run with the ball, honestly.
But Husam, like, if you go back and you rewatch that was a bang bang turnover pass. Like, that's not the type of creativity I'm talking about. I'm talking about, like, we have a sustained spell of possession. We need to have a central creator. We don't have that. We haven't had that for a long time. We used to have two great creators on the wing that were almost equal.
I don't want to put words in any of you guys' mouth.
And you had Bobby.
But who here on the panel, just genuinely, raise of hand, who wanted Cherki in January? Honestly, who did?
Okay,
I'd have Cherki now.
I'm not going to sit here. I'm not going to sit here, and I'm not going to name names because transfers is not my world. Like, when the summer
good game tonight, Cherki, by the way.
Like, I tune off. I'm not going to sit here
so badly,
and search players.
Fucking 20 million. 20 million. Are you mad?
Whoever you want to name for it, like, that's up to you guys. I'm the type of fan where, once I hear the signing, cool, I'm your fan now, I'll go look it up. But I could spend too much time looking at players. The issue that I have that I feel like I even said this at the beginning of the season is just, why don't we have the guy to connect McAllister and Gravenberch to the rest centrally, not on the wings? We can do it on the wings, but if you were to go out, I'm just going to name a name of a player because I don't want them to buy him, but like a Florian Wirtz, right, or a Musiala, just a player of that profile, not that player. Remember, don't freak out, guys. I'm not saying drop 120 million on Jamal Musiala, but the guy who can drop deep in the center of the park and then link play. Think about the fact that, I mean, even if you look at Luis Diaz's goal again for Colombia yesterday, where did that start? Centrally. That was a pass from the center of the box to Luis Diaz with a first-time finish. We just don't play like that. We have,
and what it is, you're right. It's the right. It's the right pass. But this is just again 100%. But again, that will ultimately, you bring in someone like,
it's going to hinder Salah
obviously
for sure.
The best and that's what it is. And I think whether it's the management, whether they don't want to upset the cherry cart and stuff, it's Salah is Salah, and Salah has obviously, with Bobby leaving, Mane leaving, Henderson leaving, one of the main guys, if not the main guy in the team, maybe after Virgil van Dijk, right? But from an attacking standpoint, it's the guy. Ultimately, you see it with teams all the time. You play through him no matter what. No matter what. You're just gonna keep going.
But I hate that though.
No, it's annoying. No, 100%.
I don't even think it's his personality. I just think the beta point. And I hate to disagree to agree with Tom even more than anyone here, because he's an absolute fraud and has the worst opinions on this whole platform, football or non-football. But I do think, like, every time any of them gets the ball in dangerous position, they're all looking for dad. Every single one of them. It's fucking annoying. And there was a time, I think there was a time in the final, I think it was fucking Szoboszlai who had the ball, and he's running, and he's like, just fucking shoot. Like,
shoot.
For
and
the love of God, just fucking shoot. Not every time you have to try fucking find the guy. I get it. Like, okay, he's like a presence, and he had 27 goals, 17 assists in 29 games. Like,
but do you know what it is? But do you know what it is as well, Husam?
But sometimes just take a bit of risk. You know who did it this season? To an extent, the person that did it this season is Gakpo. Gakpo, he took risks every now and then to shoot, and it fucking paid off. طب يا أخي, take risks
too.
But do you know what it is?
Why Mo had the chance in the first 5
But
minutes.
the problem you have, right, is I fully understand that, but I don't think we're understanding, right, from a foot, like United used to have this a lot of the time. United had great players, yeah, at their pomp, but think of how many players they signed that it just didn't work. That were quality players, but it just didn't work. Because guess what? You go into a change room and you're there with Rio and Roy Keane and this player and that player, and they've won everything. So it's when you're coming in as a Luis Diaz, right? You haven't done anything on that level. It's completely different when Salah and Mane and Bobby were coming, because I remember, I don't know if it was when we had Michael, I forgot if it was in his book or whatever, but he was talking about when they signed players, they wanted to sign players, like Jurgen Klopp spoke about, that were hungry, that were all at the same level, that hadn't won something, that wanted to get there. Liverpool at a different level now, where the spine of the team with Alisson, Trent, Robbo, Van Dijk, they've won it all. So,
but Jerry, I'll be honest with you, I'd rather get another Mane and him and Salah fight than get betas.
No, 100%.
I'd rather that. I don't give a fuck. Let them fight.
But you can't. But you need to get the Mane. But you need to get the Mane that left. That's why when I'm hearing him, G and me have been speaking about, when we're being linked with like Semenyo, and you're asking for a lot. You're asking for a player that was playing for Reading.
That's another beta.
You're asking for a player that was playing at the level I was playing at, right? To go and become the guy for Liverpool. It's completely different. It's we need to go and get someone right now. It can't even be
about like Alvarez, Isak, blah blah blah.
It's got to be Alvarez. Isak's doing really, really well, and I would want him. But when you think about it, could easily go pear-shaped where he goes and he's like, oh, I'm at Liverpool now. It's not Newcastle. Like, I need to be fit all the, like, it happens. We need to, when Liverpool are signing players now, you need to buy the players that are
But then this
ready.
comes back to the ownership group. We won't make that.
No, we can, of course, we can talk about that, but that's what I'm saying.
When Liverpool I don't see us signing Alvarez or Isak. I'll be honest with you, Tom Little's like rebuild with a bunch of like names that none of us have heard of is a lot more realistic.
But that's my point.
TK, Kamara,
that's my point. If that happens,
more likely.
Then you have what you're doing. This is my point. If that happens, and if that's the route you're going to have to go, there comes a point where you have to do what FSG it looks like they're doing, which is, yeah, Salah, we need to move this on now. And we've won the league right now. We haven't won it for 4 years before that. We've got another 4 years to win it again. And what we're going to do is we're going to build these guys and try and make them into the next stars. If Liverpool are going to go and do it like that. Because ultimately, what you have to do is what Madrid do. Madrid, when they get the players, they are getting the guys. They don't go and get Soboslai.
Yeah, but they kept Benzema around until Vinicius was ready.
100%. They kept him around and it was there. But what I'm saying is, when they go and, you know, they go in to get that player, and when obviously Vinicius is different, but he was the youngster. But when they go in and getting the player, they are getting Eden Hazard, they are getting Bale, and it might not work. But what I'm saying, because transfers not only work, but you need to go and get players that have been there, that have done it, that are the guy. Otherwise,
I'm with you. That's why.
Otherwise,
I was asked, who would you prefer? I said Alvarez.
Yeah,
because he's been there, done that. I'm in agreement with you. But do I see the club signing him? Probably not, to be honest with you. That's the fucking issue. So
and
it's going to have to be Semenyo
and we can sign Mbeumo, and we can sign
Mbeumo,
and we can sign these players. And guess what? They might be decent players, and I like them. But it could also be a case where they go and it's too big for them, because we've seen it. It happens all the time.
Can I ask a question? Can I ask a question? And I'm talking about what Mike said as well, actually, about the middle, about we go wide all the time. Do you think that is a problem that started under Klopp and Slot's got to rectify that? Or do you think that's something that Slot's going to carry on doing? Because remember, this isn't Slot's team. This isn't Slot's signings. He's not done anything yet. Like, he's literally working with Jurgen Klopp's team still. So do you think the middle problem has actually been happening for the last 2 years, and this is like another year of it happening? Because I think that all happened when he started to break up the attack and he had to get rid of the midfield.
Yeah, but Endz won't like really got a grip of it. This all started when we bought Nunez, because when we bought Nunez, we changed the system. I swear, wallahi, I'm not doing agenda. The moment we bought okay, who did we have before Nunez? Mane up top or Firmino up top? Correct. I'm not making shit up. Footballers can drop deep, false nine, all this. We bought Nunez and can't do false nine anymore. So what did Salah do? to his credit, readjust his game. Now you're a touchline winger. He did do that. We're not making shit up. This is reality. He became a touchline winger. Unfortunately for us, Nunes couldn't hit a barn door at the first like 6-7 months of Liverpool. So now we're put in a position where we're fucked. We're like, okay, now we've got Salah on the right, Diaz on the left, and Nunes up top. Let's all create for this number 9, but the number 9 misses all the chances. So we got put in this fucking position. So the only way that what Jerry happens is even if you aren't going to go sign an Alvarez, at least sign a player of that profile. Cunha, prime example. Sign someone like that who can hold up the ball and bring the wingers into play and do something out of nothing. A false 9 prototype. But then what that creates is, if you do get a false 9, you need to go get a left winger who's a goal scorer as well in order for that to work. Or maybe put your faith in Gakpo and at least get a younger left winger who could become
I have a wild
or
shout.
you could just create through the 10
Mike,
and...
Mike, can I just say something for a second? Sorry, mate. I've got a wild shout, okay? We're linked with Frimpong, yeah? I watch Frimpong.
You're going to say Frimpong left wing.
Frimpong right wing and Salah goes up front. And then can't the whole team revolve around passing the ball to Salah if he is the number 9?
I'd rather move him more like in the 10 area than Kmack or
exactly.
Exactly.
You do know we play through the middle more than we have done any other season, yeah? We actually play through the midfield more times than we have done any other season.
Up to the final third, yeah, we do.
At the final third, we go out wide.
Yeah.
So we actually play through the midfield. That's what Slot does. He plays through the midfield. That's why Trent hasn't got the assist that he's got in previous years, because he doesn't get that wide. He stays more defensive. You know, we don't use our fullbacks in that way. We play through the midfield. And then we play through the midfield. And once we get through the midfield, what he tries to do is then expose the fullbacks one-on-one to get to the wide players to get them goals, because our goal scorers are our wide players. So we play through the midfield. We try and play through the opponent's press. That's why we want teams to come onto us. That's why we always go back towards the centre-backs to try and wait for them to come towards us to go through their press through the midfield. And then our goal scorers are the wide players. So it's a bit of a myth that we don't go through the midfield, because it's bollocks.
But when I say we don't create centrally, what I'm not saying is that we don't use the midfield. What I'm saying is that when we get to the final position, it's always a goal that's created from wide. Whether it's
because our goal scorers are wide players. If our goal scorers were central players, then we wouldn't go wide at all.
100%. But what I'm trying to say is that
it's quite easy, really.
Yes, but if you were to implement someone, let's just say Szoboszlai could be that creative 10. I don't think that he is. I think at certain moments he is. But let's say that Szoboszlai was as much of a threat creatively, not just scoring-wise, but let's say passing-wise, assist-wise. He doesn't have to be Kevin De Bruyne, who scores 20 goals. But let's just say he's a step below or even 2 steps below. And now all of a sudden I have to worry about Szoboszlai as well from the central area. You're now 3-dimensional instead of 2-dimensional. And all I'm saying is I would like a 3rd dimension in this team. I would like it so that we're not forced to go wide every time, and that we have the option to create through the center in the final third. I just think that would make everyone else look better. I think that would create more output from Luis Diaz, more output from Cody Gakpo, even more output from Darwin Nunes.
Who's been the best team? Who's been the best team in the country for the last 4 years?
Manchester City.
Where does most of their possession come from?
Middle.
No, in the final third.
Wings.
Yeah,
in
wings.
In the wide areas. Yeah.
Well, they've got dribbly, pacey wingers that don't score goals,
and they do have a man machine up top. Who I wish
no, but that's what I'm saying. But in the final third, your goals always usually come from wider areas of the pitch.
The difference with them, though, is that Phil Foden, Kevin De Bruyne, Rodri have the ability to say the wide's not working. I'm going straight through the middle. I don't think any of our players. I don't think any of our players, bar McAllister, who isn't given the opportunity that often, have the ability to say, fuck the wing, I'm going up the middle. That's what I think the difference is. Clearly, football is football. Everyone likes to create from wide. There's just more space out there. It's difficult to get through center backs. But the issue is that we don't have anyone who's willing to do that. And when they are willing to do that, it's not exactly at the right place or time. And
so speaking of, can I drop my unpopular opinion? I'd rather us sign Shirky and have 4 deep midfielders in converting Szoboszlai to a deep midfielder, Curtis, Mack, and Gravenberch, and have a creative 10. I think it's time for this, like this whole fucking thing to end. We need a creative 10. Listen, it's one of two things, guys. Let's just listen. There's just two ways to solve this midfield thing that we have. Either sign a DM who's a destroyer, or sign a 10 who's creative. There is no in the middle. I'll be honest with you completely. There's like signing another Gravenberch prototype does fuck all for Liverpool Football Club. Literally nothing. It's either you go get a number 10 who is creative as shit, or go get a number 6 who is destructive as shit. Like, essentially, go get Fabinho 2018, play him DM, and have like that tackler who's gonna just destroy every counter-attack.
Tom,
or
you're
go
so
get
right.
a Shirky who's a creative 10. I don't really think there's any other solution, I'll be honest with you.
We haven't got an attacking midfielder that can actually dribble past the player.
I know he's banned now.
McAllister can,
past the guy,
but he isn't given the opportunity.
We haven't got a player like that. And what's really interesting, someone put in the chat, Zone 14. Someone wrote Zone 14. And the reason why Zone 14 is so important, because that is what Slot plays the whole game on, to get the ball into Zone 14 and to get
Zone
one of his
What the hell is that?
Zone 14 is a fancy way of saying final
penalty area and just outside the box.
Just say final
third. Getting the ball into that area and creating
utter woke nonsense.
What are all the other zones?
We don't
How many zones are there? 15 zones? Or
Gee, you want to know why I told Jerry he's agreeing with the criminal? You want to know who mentioned Zone 14? Tom Little last week. Yep.
Find yourself here and explain this Area 51 nonsense that you.
You know, sometimes when they do a close up on the subs bench, when the subs coming on, they show them the clipboard.
Yeah.
On the clipboard, it actually says zones. It says Zone 14, Zone 12, Zone 7. And that's why they go to the players like Harvey comes on and goes, Harvey, I want you in around Zone 14. That's what they say.
We are content creators. I'm not there with Slot on the sideline to figure out what Zone 14 is.
The only final like point around the 10 is that the question I'll ask is, against PSG at home, our most dangerous opportunity. Who created that? Someone who is capable of being a 10, getting in through the center of the park to then lay it off to Salah in the middle. Against Newcastle, what was our best opportunity? A player who is an 8 getting into the middle, attacking centrally, getting a shot directly in front of Nick Pope.
I'm sorry, just for G, I want to get the explanation from last week.
Real Madrid, who's the guy who made it?
Let me just show G the explanation from last week, yeah? This is the criminal, as you can see on the screen in front of you. This is Zone 14.
Zone 14?
I heard Zone 14.
Oh, I didn't see this.
Yeah, if Husam lets you bring up a tactical word, I'll explain what I mean.
Yeah, I'm with you. I know Zone 14, but I'm not sure this is the show to bring that up.
What's up with the mullet?
He's going to bring up the tactical board now and explain to you what Zone 14 is.
Thank you.
Watch.
So Zone 14
in front of the penalty.
Zone 14 is this area here.
Why is it 14?
I know that it's the final third.
It's basically right. I'm trying to remember how it is.
It's just step in the grids.
It's like one. That's Zone 1, and then Zone 2 is this. Zone 3 is this. Zone 4 is there.
Okay, no, Tom, you've actually memorized the whole bloody thing.
Yeah. Then you got 5, and then I think it's like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and it's split into 15 zones. And all Slot wants, is his philosophy, is to get the ball into this area right here, with either there or there. Which is why when you look at all the like good goals that we scored this season, look at Fulham's the prime example. Salah gets the ball in, just crosses it in. That's what we need to do on Trippier, because Trippier is small and slow. So if Gakpo's running off him, when Salah's just crossing the ball in.
Big up the Tom, man. Zone
He's
14.
so right, by the way. I'm 100%
you know what's mad about this whole thing? Yeah, like obviously Tom's explaining all of that, and I'm listening to everyone talk about
previous clubs. G, it's Slot's previous clubs. That's
look, I'm not even disagreeing with that. If that's what he wants to do, like cool. But my thing is this more than anything else, right? There's no point in getting Shirky, Florian Wirtz, Musiala, and all these other guys anyway. Because the reality is Liverpool don't play with a number 10 now anyway. So unless he's going to shift to them playing with that number 10, then yes, go and get Shirky.
Well, that's the point.
I'm just saying what I want, dog.
Either go number 10 or buy a destroyer DM. What's the other solution?
But then but if you buy a DM, we're in the same position that we're in now. Because then who plays in that?
I disagree with you. If you have a destroyer DM who's an elite,
but then who plays in the 10? But then who plays?
I think McAllister could play in the 10.
We need to move away from Klopp's tactics.
Does a destroyer help you bypass the press?
Yes, but that's what I just said. Like a very good destroyer. I'm saying like Fabinho. That's what I said. I said Fabinho ilk.
I mean, I would say that Fabinho helps stop counter.
Also, when we say destroyer, we're not talking about a guy who can't pass like Prime Casemiro because he had fucking Modric and Kroos next to him. I'm talking about the destroyer that has ball playing ability, but obviously he's an elite tackler. Because then you could play McAllister in the 10, and then you don't need McAllister to do all the dog work because you have a tackler behind him, and instead you can have McAllister play those intricate passes. Because the only guy in our team who I think in midfield could have made that Elliott pass is McAllister. Yep. Everyone else would have done extra shit. Gravenberch and Szoboszlai would have just ran with it. Curtis Jones would have molested the ball for 15 minutes, and then he would have passed the ball to the left back. Endo doesn't play that ball either. So, yeah, it's literally Elliott and McAllister, only two who can play that pass. Simple as.
Camavinga?
Okay, guys, I'm going to wrap up the stream now because we're just talking about dream scenarios. Camavinga, Musiala, and we're going to get fucking Ekitike at the end. Anyway, guys, this was an absolutely incredible stream. I do agree with Jacob. Das definitely did waffle. You get me? But
what?
Wow,
Jacob's just mad. Jacob's just angry that Newcastle felt something that he has to wait 40 more years to feel. And I'm sorry that you have to do that, Jacob.
I've been a Spurs fan for 20 long years, seen my share of triumphs and buckets of tears. But this year's taking it one step too far. I'm wondering if we'll ever win another spar. Hey, hey, what's going on? We can't seem to win.
Hi, Jacob. How are you, mate? Are you good? Are you good, Jacob?
Good, bro.
Nah, that is mental, bro.
Wow.
I'm gonna take my Spurs down the old town road.
Our war chest is going to be bigger than your war chest, Jacob. Our war chest is inbound. Inbound war chest. War chest summer on the way.
Good war chest.
What's our war chest? What, 200 mil this year?
900 million pounds. We're backlogging. We're going to go into debt. We're going to go into administration. We're going to break the bank. We're doing it.
I will try to believe what Mike is saying.
Yeah, I don't
anyway,
think
guys,
spend over 100
this was
million,
an absolutely incredible stream. But as soon as I heard Camavinga, I'm like, Khalas, we have to end Dreamland now. Make sure, make sure you guys are liking the video. Make sure you guys are subscribing to the channel if you're ready to do so. Thank you guys so much for 48.3K. We are now 1.7K subscribers away from the big 50K, ladies and gentlemen. So I appreciate you all for all your love. And this isn't possible without this amazing panel and without the support of the people. So continue to like, continue to subscribe. Go subscribe to Kmack's channel is in the description. Mike Das LFC is in the description. Jamie Phillips Football Chats in the description. Endz has rebranded, ladies and gentlemen. His new channel name is Game Day Media, which is also in the description. So give him a subscribe.
Don't come across if you ain't going to listen, though.
Yeah, as he said, though, he has vast knowledge. So he
didn't listen. You guys
we're all beneath his knowledge levels, you know? And make sure you guys go subscribe to GTVFC. Also, Jerry James's channel, in case he decides to relaunch it, is in the description. Mike Das as well. One day he will stream. You get me?
Get off me. Come on, bro.
I'm telling the people to subscribe to you. How's that a bad thing?
Can you just do one stream, please, Mike?
Then you got to throw
just one stream.
Just one stream, bro. Can you just do one stream?
Just one stream.
All right. We'll get there.
Like tomorrow, 1 a.m., just stream and talk about the incredible, you know, whatever the hell you want to talk about. Anyway, we're going to redirect you to Saeed, guys, because he's doing an Argentina-Uruguay watch-along. So just spam Husam Raid in his chat. And I'll see you guys on the other side. Peace out.
Up the Reds.
War chest inbound, baby.